Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly Dungeon Master today. Today, we are playing Session 2 of our special quarantine campaign with our Quarantine Crusaders. And as you see, we've got a pretty full house today. So what we are playing for this short campaign is we are playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition, playing through the Legacy of the Crystal Shard adventure that had been originally published during the D&D Next playtest period. So, and with me today are the stars of our Legacy of the Crystal Shard campaign. Everybody's still level 1, so what I'll do is I'll get you guys to tell us who you are, who you're playing, and I think we've already gone through... Everybody has either played in our Night Below campaign or has done their introduction about their level of comfort or level of exposure to AD&D second. So I think we'll just do the intros of who you are, who you're playing, and we'll start off with... Oh, he's hiccuping back in. George, are you there? Straighten? We just lost him. Let's start with Jeffrey.
Do the cannons now.
Ready?
Hunger Games cannon.
And I'm playing Bruin, who is a human ranger.
Nice. And next up is John.
Hey everyone, I am John. I am playing Falcoril. He's a half-elf ranger cleric of Solinar. So
Nice.
He's good with a bow.
Oh, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I need to make... I have tokens for some of you. I need to make tokens for other characters anyway. Let me... I'll get those tokens going right now and get them under your pictures. So hold on here. Go. Sorry, next up is Mo.
Hi, I'm Morris. I'm playing Thomas Branner, who is a fighter.
Nice. Next up is Arlen.
Hi, I'm Arlen. I'm playing Gorwin, who is he's technically an elven fighter, but he's living the dream as a sort of medic and history nerd. So, you know, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, medic especially. He was really making his friends with the town guard last time. Next up is George.
Hey, I'm George. I'm still putting the character together. Oh, can you not hear me?
Well, we got two Georges. I didn't realize.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead,
George
George.
can go
George Straighten.
All right. Well, I have a first level druid.
Oswald.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Okay.
It's Oswald. I'll be Drew. Oswald, and you can call me Drew. The Oswald is a Oswald Elderberry, named after what his father smelt of, and he is a professional cook.
Nice. And George Straighten.
Hey, I've got Randon of the Scarlet Grove, who is a first level half-elf druid who sensed a disturbance in nature and has ventured into the north to figure out what's going on.
Nice. Okay. And next up is Dave.
Hey everybody, I'm Dave at DJF Poet on Instagram, playing Lex, the half-elf ranger, son of Leor.
Sorry. No one move your tokens. There are far too many of you. We're not having all that stuff. You got nowhere to move, and there's no map. Don't move your tokens, please.
My name.
Sorry, Dave, you were saying?
Just changing my name. Yeah, Lex is a half-elf ranger, following the footsteps of his deceased father, Leoric.
Excellent. Okay. And next up is Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm playing a human fighter from the south who is trying to reinvent himself as a certain Erlich Domelnaroth, a man of intrigue and not very successfully at that.
He did take a bit of an ass kicking last time.
Yeah, he did.
And last but not least is the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Hobbs.
Hey everyone, as he said, I am the myth and legend, and I am playing Store, a professional soldier by trade, but happy-go-lucky poor gambler by hobby.
Nice. So, our heroes last time, let me just get the last of the tokens set up here, guys, and we'll track. Oh, your hit points here. It's good to go. All right. What happened last time? The caravan from Luskan arrived after nearly a month of travel across the Icewind Dale, and shortly after our heroes got within the walls of Bryn Shander, and Bryn Shander is, you got a map in your handouts, guys, if you want to see that. Boom. Just as you got into the southeastern walls, something happened. What was that?
There were Yetis. The gates opened up to let us in, and in along with us came a party of 4 Yetis. And we had to face them, and we killed 3 of them, and one of them was commanded to exit the town and locked outside by the guards. Several of the guards were injured, but Gorwin helped stabilize them. We had Erlich and Tom and I think Brune all went down over the course of the fight.
Yeah.
One of the Yetis went and devastated an alchemist shop. The 2 others were fought in the kind of central square where we had arrived. But we eventually took down all 3 of the Yeti and dealt with the last one. And then we found out a fair bit of information about the town, which you can read in the party notes section. But
nice.
Nobody edit the party notes because I'm doing the editing. And if you edit it, I'll lose my edits. So
okay.
And
use your player notes thing, and I'll do the party notes one.
Unacceptable.
So what we're assuming happened with those of you who were not here. Okay, so I've got everyone's camera working except for Rhiannon.
Okay, let me try refreshing.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a terrible
There we
connection
go.
or something.
There you go, George. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so then the only characters who are missing, I need images for Rhiannon and for Lex,
Yeah.
and just for you to put your hit points in.
I've got. I don't know what's. I'm having a lot of trouble uploading an image. I've tried like 6 times, but I'm gonna try something else. But,
we've had that problem sometimes.
Yeah, I tried to upload one too.
Yeah, it depends on how big it is.
Yeah, that's my next trick. Did my hit points not show up?
I don't know. I haven't without the.
Okay.
I can't load.
I put it in first.
Do you roll at first level, Kev?
So
You do, yeah.
So Ranger 2d8.
2d10 actually.
2d10.
Yeah. D8s is 5th edition, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
Third,
38
I think.
the way it used to be in 2nd edition. Pretty sure.
Let's take a look here. I thought because it was consolidated under Warriors, it was a D10. But let's
Maybe
see.
that's 1st edition I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
First edition, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's D10 for 2nd.
Nice.
Pretty tough. All right, so we're good. So 2d10 the roll there, Dave. 6. All right, so right average. Do you have a con bonus?
She is slow, but let's look. Constitution, no adjustment.
Oh yeah, Jeff had a really hard time loading his image last time as well.
Yeah, I made it smaller. I'm trying again.
Yeah, mine did. That new one I did, I had to shrink it a couple of times.
Oh, really?
Kev, were we able to swap a score? I forgot about that.
You were, yeah. One, you swap one for the other.
I wonder if that makes a difference. Does having an 18 con help?
Enormously. Yeah. If you're a warrior,
Well,
you get +4, I think, hit points per level.
Yes.
I'm going to swap my con and my 14 con and my 18 wisdom to have an 18 con and a 14 wisdom.
Sure.
I'll still meet the requirements for the ranger.
Yeah. And I'll give you a 10 hit point start then.
Yeah.
Yeah, works for me.
+4 hit point adjustment. So I'll have 10 hit points.
Nice.
Sweet.
Excellent. Okay, so then guys,
And my AC is 4.
AC is 4. Okay, thank you.
I love how we got 3 rangers.
We'll have learned.
Yeah, we got what
Friends.
Brune, Falcaril's multi-class, and Lex. Okay, gee, that's great. All right. Give me 1 second here, guys. We're loading one thing. So, what I'm assuming has happened with the rest of the guys is everyone else was on this caravan. You've all traveled up here as part of this, like the last caravan into the Icewind Dale. I think the people who missed last time are familiar enough with Icewind Dale or Forgotten Realms, so you know what to expect when you get up here. Arriving in Bryn Shander, you guys did find a couple Well, you met some people as well too. Some people knew some folks already. Brune is from this region already. So is Kola, who's not here today. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to pick something. I had that last music we had from the music we had from last time was a little too fairy tale-y. That is not what we want. Do you guys remember who you met at the end of the session after the Yeti fight?
Yeah, so we met Riordan, the merchant.
Yep.
And so we have a couple of sort of potential things to do, guys. So one thing is Riordan the merchant has apparently paid someone named Slim, who hangs out at a place called Northlook, 150 gold to protect his alchemy shop. And that was worthless when the Yeti attacked. So he is offering, if we can get the 150 gold back, we can keep 75 of it. We also, one of the people on the caravan was a dwarven merchant named Helga Silverstream, who wants to travel to the Dwarven Valley, which is in the rough conditions. It's about a day's trek through ice and snow, maybe a little less than that. She has stuff to do in town for 5 more days, so we are welcome to wait until then, but she will pay us 25 gold each to protect her traveling. We also know, so the guards, because we saved a number of the guards, they offered to pay for our food and lodging for the first night.
Yep.
They also believe that the Yeti attack was called by Rhaegar barbarians. And in particular, there's one barbarian who is chained to a post in the middle of the market square who is not expected to survive the night. And that's sort of if we wanted to sort of talk to the guards about, interrogating him and maybe saving a life who would otherwise be killed, that's something we could do too.
So
they didn't seem to have much evidence of that he did that either.
No, they just believed, well, they're barbarians, so it's...
Yeah,
of course he did. And he got here recently, I think is the other thing.
Yeah.
Brune can tell you that's not, like, there's been tensions with the Rhaegar tribes in the past, especially, 100 or so years ago. They actually tried to invade and, destroy the 10 towns. But things have been fairly good since then. So the fact that they're just arresting people and leaving them to die in the elements, and assuming that they're the ones who brought this curse on them, it speaks to a real shift in the relationship, or shift in the circumstances in the Icewind Dale.
Well, and some of the Rhaegar tribesmen do attack caravans and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's
so there's
no evidence.
No.
But the evidence is all circumstantial towards.
Well,
this.
Evidence. Exactly.
And we'll say, because we got some of the new guys in, so I think Store, Lex, and Rhiannon, you guys were off actually chasing, and Falcarel. You were off dealing with, there was another Yeti that scrambled off in another direction, and you guys had kind of gone off, to sort of try and deal with that as well. And as you're walking back, what you guys overhear is 2 guards. They first off say that, there was a dwarf who magically compelled one of the Yetis to flee outside the wall. And that when this Yeti came, it tried to come back, and what the Yetis looked like, incidentally, because they are pretty awesome. There you go. Some Yeti.
Cool.
Is that this thing initially was going to try and charge the wall again, and it seemed to stop and turn out to the blowing and blinding snows, and turn and then sort of run back out towards something. And one of them is insisting that he saw a white-skinned, white-haired woman standing in the blowing snow, wearing nothing but a dress, and directing the Yeti. So that's what Store, Lex, Falcarel, and Rhiannon have overheard coming as you're kind of coming back to the thing. And so I just need, do you have an image? Okay, Rhiannon's got an image now. Great. Let me get a token going here. I'll bring you guys back to the market square in a sec here.
It's funny, my image looks almost the same as the the one you just put it beside the white backing ranger or bowman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
For George's? Yeah. That's
Yeah.
funny. Okay. Well, it depends how deep you go into those Google image searches, I guess.
Right.
So you're the person who's kind of been the default, excuse me, the default kind of captain of the hired guards has actually been Store. Store of you guys is the one who has the most experience in, actually serving in war. And Cobbs, I can't remember. Did you say that Store has been up here before, or is this his first time making this particular run?
No, yeah, that's what he's been hiding himself in from the pirate kings or the pirate captains of Luskin.
Love it. Okay.
High captains, that's what they're called.
So that is awesome.
So he's been here multiple times, I'm assuming.
Okay, so then you sort of know where things should go. There's a stable to the left. There are several establishments in town that you can stay at. But the North Look, the one that the other guys were talking about, that is actually the most popular kind of like adventurer destination. Oh, all right.
We're not really adventurers. I thought we were caravan guards.
No, but like mercenaries, you all sort of riff-raff taking money for coin or like fighting for coin. That's sort of all of you fit in that same category. Let me move you over. Okay, let's do this
So
here.
Store doesn't necessarily know what everyone's plans are as far as the group goes, but it sounds like everyone's meeting up there at that tavern, and so he would want to meet up there with the others to see what their intentions are, and catch up with all of their information as well.
Sure.
As soon as I heard about that thing with Riordan, I'm headed directly to that tavern, bleeding and all.
Okay. So Erlich is heading off on his own, seemingly.
I'm gonna find the tavern.
Okay. Well, I mean, and you haven't been here before, so.
Nope.
All right. So Erlich is going to be. You will have some time before he finds the Overlook. So, what is everyone else doing? I'm just going to move y'all into, token size tokens here.
So my advice would be that we don't get involved in the city politics. We've already had success at guiding caravans, so that's what we should do. I mean, it's the law. Messing around with this Riordan guy seems like trouble.
Well, Riordan is the alchemist. Slim is the guard that he paid. Or we're not really sure if he's a guard or maybe some type of like gangster who is.
Yeah, sounds like a gangster. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that seems kind of illicit to me, and I don't like messing with that sort of thing.
Okay.
I will agree with them and agree with whatever the group says. And but I actually want to try to provide some sort of food. I want to try to provide some sort of food to that guy that's in the ox, whoever it is that's.
Yeah, so this is what you guys see in the map here is the outcome of the last encounter. This is where they fought. This is right inside the southeastern gates. This is where they fought the Yeti. Each of these is either a guard or a civilian, and they owe their lives really to the fast actions of Gorwin. So, let's see here.
And is that who they pointed to as the person who cast that spell that seemed to command?
No, because Gorwin is an elf, not a dwarf.
Not a dwarf.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kola is the one who cast command because he is an Allegor, a priest of Clanget and Silverbeard.
Yeah. Another one. It's a theme.
Another one. In addition to our other favorite priest of Clanget.
Yeah.
Right.
There can be only one.
I can't see nameplates for these two characters.
Hold on.
3.
Let's see here.
And that one.
And here, those three, yeah. Same thing.
Okay, give me a sec. I actually can't see what you're pinging, so just give me a sec here.
Oh, I'm just using an arrow to point.
Oh, okay, great.
But he's got a window open.
Yeah, I got a window open. Okay.
Right now.
So you can't see who? Lex?
Well, now I can see Lex now. These two characters.
Oh, okay.
They're not visible.
It's because they're secret.
Yeah.
No, it's also because I forgot. All
I
right.
just want to match up character faces with tokens, so.
There we go. All right, so guys, Erlich has headed off on his own, and with 1 hit point left as well.
Yep.
We'll see who the cannon sounds for pretty soon.
Exactly.
Well, I assume they are all going to get there eventually. He's asking directions, but it might take him a while.
Okay, so he seems to be. Erlich turns and says that that this is what we're doing, and turns and starts asking random passersby who are all still sort of recovering from the trauma and the shock of the Yeti attack, and asking where the North Look is. Store, you I think have spent now a month with this guy on the caravan, so
I'm well aware of what sort of trouble he can cause.
Yeah,
and I know when to cut my losses. That's what made me survive this long.
Okay, what is the rest of the party doing?
Gorwin would like to ask the guards about the town authorities and who he should talk to about the chained up barbarian.
Why? And the guard kind of looks around. Do you got an idea what to do?
I am full of ideas about all sorts of things, but I have no intention of harming him.
Oh.
I really am mostly interested in information.
What do you need to know?
Might be worth talking to him. Well, I'd like to talk to him and to determine if he is guilty or innocent, perhaps based on his own admission, and I would like to not break any local laws if that is limited to officials or anything like that. But
well, you can talk to Markham Southwell, the sheriff, but he was caught stealing, and look what he brought down on us. And some other guards is like leaning on a spear, and he's kind of ashen faced, and he's shaking his head. He's like, "It was the witch. It was the White Witch." And the other guard's like, "Shut up. There's no. It's him. But if you want to find him, I'm sure he'll be down here sooner than later." Brune, if you overhear, I think you probably can overhear this. Sheriff Markham.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's a local guy. You also see someone else making their way through the crowd, and she looks like... Oop, I gotta put a handout out. Where is she? Like this. Boom. And this dark-haired, dark-eyed woman is wearing a holy symbol that any of you would recognize, but you know it in particular. Hi, sweetie. What's up? It is the symbol of Amonitor, the god of the sun. And she seems to be going around checking on what everyone's sort of status is, how injured anyone is, and see if anyone requires any kind of assistance. Unfortunately, Erlich has stormed off, so he will not be getting any healing spells. Because he is not here any longer. Nope. But Tom, I mean, what do you think you're looking like right now, Tom? You're only down by 2 hit points, but you are... How were you injured again? Was it a Yeti? Oh, you're muted, Mom. Still can't hear you, Mo. Sorry. Well, it's not really important. Why don't we... what she'll do is... Let's see here. Brune and Tom are the ones who seem to be... Oh, and Oswald. Oh, Oswald, you're actually healed up to 8 out of 9 because... Oh, anyway, you'll be...
Okay.
The handouts are... I think you guys should have
Mithrin's just at the top, not under the handouts folder right now.
Yeah.
But the sheriff isn't either.
Sheriff, no, I don't know.
The sheriff doesn't have a face yet.
No, doesn't have a face. He is a doppelganger. Spoiler. So the Mithrin comes up, and she actually recognizes you, Brune. And this is someone that you have known. She once was a an adventurer, and she has sort of settled down back into Bryn Shander to sort of, maintain the what do you call it? Maintain the shrine and whatever to a monitor here. It's one of the two major shrines. There's another to a triune of gods, but hers, the sun obviously is fairly, well venerated in a land that has, kind of this is the Forgotten Realms equivalent of the land of the midnight sun. So she sees you, and what do you think your relationship is with her? Think you get along with her? You think it's antagonistic?
Well, I'm thinking that Bruin, part of the reason he's a ranger is he's got a bit of a problem with alcohol, and so when he hangs out in cities, he ends up in the tavern and maybe not in the best shape. So
yeah,
maybe the townsfolk you wouldn't necessarily get along with them great.
Okay. So she sees you, and kind of shakes her head and says, "Brune, so you were you couldn't help but come back."
Yeah, sorry.
Well, you're welcome. From what I hear, you helped to drive those things off. Can you believe Yeti coming in the town walls?
It's unbelievable. I would have never imagined the day.
I don't. Even the eldest here can't remember a winter that's come as early and as fierce as what we're seeing here. We weren't sure whether whether this last caravan was actually going to make it or not.
Yeah. We
Wait.
weren't sure either.
Brune, you've been injured.
Yes.
Here.
Several of us.
And she says, "Give me your hands." And takes your, if you offer them, she'll take them in her hands. She'll offer a prayer to the Morning Lord, and there is a glow and a feeling like you are sitting in a lovely, warm morning sunbeam. And give me a D8 roll, please. Okay.
Oh.
Well, that's all you needed. You're back up to full hit points.
That's true.
Mo, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I've rejoined.
Yeah,
Can you
okay,
hear me now?
we can hear you. Perfect. So Mo, what
Right.
I was asking is what your injuries look like.
I think he got a scar on his forearm.
Yep.
Because I burned a hero point to avoid losing 3 fingers.
Right.
Which
Okay.
is someone using a bow is a little problematic.
So she sees you kind of flexing your hand, trying to make sure that the injury hasn't been proven mortal, and she gestures to Tom Brune. She says, "He was with you as well." Brune?
Yes.
She looks over and says, "Please, I'm a Mithron, an acolyte of the Morning Lord. May I?" And she asks to take your hand.
Cool.
So then, Mo, go ahead and give us a D8 roll. We'll see how much you heal. This is the upside having only 5 hit points. Every cure light wound is like, wow!
Yeah.
So impressive.
Yeah, I didn't realise Rangers got 2d8. I'm on 1d10.
No, they don't get. That's AD&D. That's in second edition they get 1d10.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3. Oh, you're talking about what, healing?
No.
Rangers hit points. Yeah, you're thinking of AD&D first.
Alright.
Yeah. So you gain 3 hit points back, so you're back up to full. Same thing. You the feeling of being in warm sunlight, and you've been healed.
There's also 2 sets of tokens on for some people.
Oh yeah, the ones over on the right.
By the pocket of his
Oh,
shop.
okay, yeah. Hold on, let me get rid of those.
I'm on twice, and a few others are, so...
Yeah, let me get rid of those. Uh-oh, and there's still Yeti. Uh-oh. Look out.
All right, I'll roll initiative.
Boom, gone. Okay. All right. So then, guys, you have spent enough time with Erlich to know that once he's got his mind set on something, until something distracts him, it will be the thing he's doing. Is that fair to say, Brandon?
That's fair. That's fair. Yep.
Okay. So what's everyone else think? I see there's been some chat in chat. What are you guys thinking here? And you know Mithron well enough too, Brune, to be able to chit chat with her if you wish to as well. She does have other things to deal with. But what you also see, Gorwin, and I think Story, you recognize this as well too, is you see the sheriff going around and asking the guards kind of what happened, and one or two of the guards are pointing over at you guys, saying like as if to say like, oh no, it's them. And Markham is a similarly like a former caravan guard who has retired to basically be the muscle for the speaker. The way that the politics are set up in 10 towns, each of the towns has a speaker, and the speaker of Bryn Shander is effectively kind of like the most important of all the speakers. So the current speaker is what's her name? Her name is Devessa Shane, and the sheriff basically keeps shit in line in Bryn Shander. They don't want Bryn Shander to be falling apart and become something like East Haven, where it's effectively like the Wild West. But the sheriff comes walking over towards you guys, and he stops you, and anyone else can jump in on this conversation as well too. And he says, "Store, I see you're back again for the season."
It was a hard trip this time.
I've heard we had bets going as to whether you would make it or not.
What was the over/under? Did you win or lose?
The odds went down with every inch of snow that came. You're truly lucky that you made it here. Though, and he gestures towards one of the.
In your favor.
He gestures towards one of the fallen Yeti and says, "I do wish that you hadn't brought your pets with you."
You know how it is. Sometimes there's hangers-on.
Have you? Were they with you the entire way? Did you find them along the trail?
No, they were news to us. I think none of us even knew they were there. Isn't that right? Who was it? Gorwin that's here?
Yep. Anyone else who can be there?
Yes, we saw no sign of Yeti along the trail, although we were attacked by wolves once and knew that they were following us.
We've had stories of the wildlife driven to seeming madness. There was just south of Tourmaline, there was a pack of travelers attacked by wolves. This is the type of thing you see late in the winter or a hard winter when stock is down and the animals starve. But we hear this is happening everywhere. It's the Rhaegar, the tribesmen. They've cursed the 10 towns. This is a precursor. The winter, the coming of the Yeti.
I thought there was peace.
We thought so as well. And now, here's where we find ourselves. And this...
Has anyone gone to speak to them?
You know them. You can't talk to them. The only tribe that would be worth spending any breath on would be the tribe of the Elk. But even they... We've got one, came in a thief. And now it seems maybe a luring in a way of bringing the Yeti in. They want to burn tear the walls down, burn this town, so there's nothing but the wastes in which they live.
We've heard whispers of a white witch.
What?
A white witch.
Who told you?
No one told me. I just, like I say, you hear things from the men.
Is it men talking to that barbarian again? Because he won't stop shouting about that. White witch, white witch.
No, I don't believe so. I think it was men of Bryn Shander.
Some of mine?
It's possible. We were fighting one of the Yeti, and I heard one of them mention seeing a white figure through the storm. controlling the Yeti.
You see, this is what happens. These barbarians come down and infect us with the paranoia and fear, and now the men are seeing things in the snows. Well, I'm glad you... Go ahead.
Isn't it possible that the barbarian is speaking the truth if your men have sights to confirm? Their description was pretty detailed. Well, not as detailed as it could have been, but we could at least talk to the barbarian to ask him what he knows.
You can't trust the words of thieves at all.
True, but truth or lies, war with the Rhaegar will not go well for the 10 towns, would it?
As long as I hold the authority of the speaker, he's a thief. He stole from a wool merchant, and he now, it seems, brings this down. His talk of the White Witch, I think, is speaking to his secret master, perhaps. So if they're in league with this, at best, it means that you have unveiled his confederate. Nothing more.
You're the sheriff right now, right, Kev?
Yes.
Okay. I would say to the sheriff, I would like to say, if you have been in law enforcement in law enforcement for as long as we think you have, you will know that not all thieves are bad. And I would probably look around at some of the rest of our group and some of the rest of our people. And the
he fixes a hard look
people,
on someone.
Right, exactly. Not all, just because you're a thief does not mean that you're a bad person. My goal, some have called me a thief. My goal is to become a paladin.
Some call you a thief?
Some have called even me a thief in my younger days. I was once in jail, and I have served my time, and I have gotten out, and I have done a career. I am now one of the finest cooks for all caravans. I make a good living, and I run the strait. But
well, little one, if you wish to keep your cooking, you'd best steer clear of your former profession. What we do with thieves now, we leave them for the elements to judge. And this is what we've done with Hangar, the thief.
May we at least speak to him before he perishes?
He's tied to the pole in the central yard. He's under watch and unchains. I did not waste time for... He kind of looks up. It looks like it's going to be a miserable night. Now, Storr, thank you for bringing them in safely. He spares a look down at Oswald. I've got my eye on you, wee one. Stick to your spices. And then he turns and will head back into the crowd dealing with, the slowly milling, bigger crowd that's coming in. You guys can see that some kids have already come in and they're starting to poke the dead Yeti with sticks and stuff like that and trying to cut off pieces of hair.
Sounds like that's it then, boys. I guess we might as well have some drinks. Poor guy. And
you hear from some of the guards, drinks are on us! Arr! Everyone's very, very much in favor of paying for drinks for you. So,
I would like to take some drinks to the guards.
Sure. You absolutely.
The guy that's guarding whoever that guy is. If drinks are on whoever, I would like to take some extremely stout drinks to those guards.
Okay.
And Random would like to check out the dead Yetis and see if there's anything unnatural about their bodies.
Sure.
Corpses.
What proficiencies do you have? Any lore proficiencies that might be of assistance here?
I not really. I have healing and I have survival. Are the only two that are closest.
Does anyone else see Randon or George S? I don't.
I see George.
Do you see George? Give me
you see me?
Let me see.
I do not see his camera. No.
Yeah.
I'm reconnecting.
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
No, there you are. Okay, good.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so Randon, sorry, do you have any proficiencies that?
I have healing and I have survival, but I don't have anything like animal lore or anything like that. So it's more of just trying to see if there's anything obvious, really.
Not really. No, there's not.
Okay.
These are. I mean, I think that this may be the first time you've ever seen a Yeti in person.
That's true.
Because they're so secretive, they're so dangerous. and they from what Store has told you, when you guys are making your way over to, like, let me just quickly bring you over, because this map is really fucking cool. Boom. Here is the Icewind Dale, guys.
Cool. And then this is Bryn Shander, right? Yes, A. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, so you guys have been traveling into here, and this originally comes from further to the west and then down south. There's a pass called the North-South Pass that you make your way through, and in there, Store brought you past these like lean-tos that are stocked with supplies in case you get caught there in a storm. And when he tells you, and because he was sort of playing up the, to scare the newbies type thing, that Yeti treat these like lobster traps. They kind of go in and check and see if anyone's there, snack on whatever's there, and then, otherwise ignore it.
So it's not unusual for Yeti to be in this region.
It's unusual it's not unusual for them to be in the Icewind Dale. It's unusual for them to be this close to the walls, and it's unheard of for them to be coming in like this. Even a century ago, when there was all that trouble with the Crystal Tower and, the Rhaegar tribesmen and whatnot, even then it was like giants and Verbeeg and things like that, like other orcs, goblins, those kinds of things were the problem. Yeti are not caught up in that sort of not caught up in the inhuman societies that those creatures sort of set up in the wilds.
Okay, so as long as I don't see any kind of weird pustules or scarring or strange tattoos or whatever, I just kind of take a few minutes and then I'll follow the group.
Okay. So
we also know that wolves have been attacking caravans, which is unusual.
Yeah.
Which is what happened in the sort of session 0. So they don't normally attack large groups of men in organized groups.
They're being stirred up.
You also heard that let's see here. Yeah, there's just on the road from Tourmaline to Lonelywood. There was a group of wolves just last month was attacked by wolves. So the snows came early, and then the wolves, a lot of the wildlife were acting as if this was, much later in the season. So this is all very, very unusual. Yeah, bad winter means they're starting, but normally that's later in the winter, though, not immediately as soon as the snows fall. Like, you don't lose your food stock as soon as the snows come. The rangers in the party will be able to tell you this, that it's very unusual.
I mean, I think it's clear that there is some witchery going on. There was that ice woman that the guards saw out in the distance. So something is going on that's being caused.
Well, I wonder if we go to the inn, whether there'll be more people who may have seen this white figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that guard still there, Kev, that we overheard? Or
you guys will have to sort of massage a conversation with this guy to get him away from... Because, I mean, if... I think that his fellows probably sell him out pretty quickly to say where, that he was the one who was yapping about this white witch. And
so do they seem like they all think that he's lying or, it's crazy or sort of like the sheriff?
So what you gather from asking around about this to the different guards is that the barbarian who is lashed to the pole in the middle of Market Square has been, to anyone who will stand still, he's been screaming about this white witch. So they're saying and the does anyone have any kind of I think the more let's see here, who would be appropriate for this? I think Oswald might actually, because he's sort of the sketchiest of all the lot of you. Oswald, what you can kind of pick up from this is that you weren't wrong about there being maybe something fishy about this guy getting lashed to the pole pretty quickly. This is it seems like this guy was arrested and then thrown on that pole and convicted effectively pretty darn quickly. And he seemed to, either you believe that he is a fantastic liar, or you believe that he really is innocent. But there's nothing gained in agreeing that he's innocent with the current sentiment against the Rhaegar tribesmen, and with the sheriff saying this guy was guilty. So this barbarian who's currently, effectively going to die from exposure tonight, the sentiment is just fucking forget about him. Don't give any credence to anything he says. And what he's also said, one second here, guys, is... He said, like, what he claims, and you get this from someone who is sort of like, willing to talk to you on the down low, Oswald. And I guess
who is this talking to me on the down low?
This is one of the guards. One of the guards.
Okay, this is one of the guards I took drinks to.
Yeah. So what you've picked up is like this guy. Maybe there's something fishy about how he was arrested, how he was convicted, and also. He says, like, look, this guy showed up and he kept screaming that he wanted to get help for his people. That he thought that if the tribe falls and they'd feel the wrath of the Ice Witch. Somehow he showed up and was screaming at people and then suddenly was lashed to the pole. I don't know who he pissed off, but it ain't my problem. And if, Guthrin wants to keep talking about white witches, he may find himself on the pole as well pretty soon.
So we actually in the market square now.
No, you guys can picture that you're still sort of asking around with the scene will be you guys talking to the different guards.
And what's the weather like? Is it night? What's the, I know it's probably snowing. Is it dark? Dark out?
It's still light out.
Snow, what?
You guys arrived when it was still light out too, so you probably have about maybe another hour's worth of daylight.
I have a question.
Yep.
So, is there like any old? Because this community's been around for 100 years or something, right?
400, I think.
Okay, Store is interested in ancient history. So, are there like old things that you can do to like claim someone's innocence? Like pay some debt for the theft that he did, or so claim some other thing or something like that.
Well, the speaker effectively holds like all power in town. She could free him as well, in spite of the sheriff's mandate. Like, sheriff is the one who is in charge of justice and whatnot, and arresting people and whatever. But the speaker can always overrule this. So if you spoke to Defessa Shane, she may be able to provide some kind of assistance there, but the culture isn't like a barbarian culture where there's a trial by combat that could be done. You could break the guy out. Bryn Shander is not as wild and as out of control as what East Haven is, but it still is a frontier town. The difficulty is, the worst of the winter is settling in. If you break this guy out, where do you go? Yeah. I mean, he may have some ideas because they live the Rhaegar tribesmen. They live out in these in this weather. Your other option is of course proving his innocence. I mean, if this time of year with the last of the caravans coming in and whatever other troubles are going on, it's not unusual for the sheriff to really dislike or hate the Rhaegar tribesmen, but it may be a matter of him being too busy to look into the finer details of all these things. And if the sentiment is, well, fuck it, the Rhaegar tribesmen are to blame for this stuff, who is he to look too closely into a known thief or a thief with a townsfolk saying that he was convicted?
So, I think we have a couple choices here.
When you get on,
talk to the speaker or try to talk to this person that he supposedly stole from.
Well, I was going to talk to him first, and then maybe speak to the, find what his alleged crime is.
I was thinking talk to him or talk to the speaker, but I'm happy to do either.
And anyway, I want to walk up to the market square to get our rooms and stuff booked for the night.
Okay, the options of let's talk about the north look. The market square is probably where you'll find Erlich, having made his way up there as he's on his way towards the north look. The things that are listed on there, guys, there's a couple different establishments listed on the map there. Let's see here, Geldenstag's Rest, which is on the western or eastern side of town there. That is the oldest of the established in town, run by a lady named Myrtle. And I think, Brune, you know this because you're a local. Let's talk about, actually, before we dive into that a little further, Falcaril and Lex. Let's talk a little bit about you guys. And Rannin as well. Are Rannin, Falcaril, or Lex, are any of you guys... I know we got an elf, and Lex is what?
I'm a half-elf
ranger.
Okay, so we got 2 half-elves and an elf. I'm going to assume that none of you guys are from here, because there's not really elven communities up here.
Yeah, no, I thought Falcor would be traveling from further south looking for a territory to call his own.
Okay, so the thing with the Icewind Dale is that, like, really the only... the 10 towns are really like boom towns. The only reason anyone would bother living up in this region is because of the value of the knucklehead trout. Knucklehead trout, they have these massive, like, ivory-like bones in their heads, which are very valuable everywhere else in the realms. So almost every, like, all the industry comes from that, and then there's a side industry of mining in the Dwarf Valley. And I'll just quickly go back to the map so you can see here. So the thing is, it's not like, unless you're, Jack London style, wanting to test yourself against the elements to be on your own, which is possible if you're because of your background. It's really like you can't really build a farmstead. You can't because the winter.
Oh no, I mean like a territory, more like a ranger territory to guard against the evils of the area.
Certainly, there's a lot of that up here. There's 2 things that people come up here for. One of them is to get rich, is to go to one of the 10 towns and try and make your fortune, either by trading with the people up here, because the prices up here are astronomical, or to fish, or it's to get lost. Because there is a town, Lonelywood. Lonelywood is sort of the, it's kind of like an Alaska meets Casablanca type thing. It's a place where people just go to hide, and no one asks their neighbors what they're up to or whatever else. They keep their peace, they keep to their own business, but it's where you go to just disappear and leave the world behind. That's sort of true for much of the Icewind Dale, but very, very much so for Lonelywood as well. You may have heard legends, to be honest. I as much as I don't want to just, have, the, what do you call it? What do they call the celebrity, the unnecessary cameos? George, I'm looking for you here.
Basically.
It's which?
It's basically that.
Like a fan service cameo?
Fan service cameo, yeah. There's another...
fan service cameo.
There's a phrase for it, and I can't remember what it is, but Drizzt is not unknown elsewhere in the realms, right? And, like, this is where he really... his name and is the thing that probably stands out more so than the other heroes from 100 years ago. Partly because he's just so different from the others. Brunor Battlehammer was the leader of the settlement in the Dwarven Valley, and the Battlehammer clan. So he's one of many dwarves. What's his name? The guy with the hammer, Wolfgar.
Wolfgar.
Yeah, he's a tribesman of the Elk tribe. His name wouldn't necessarily be, spread as much, but having a drow, which is, like, helped to save a whole region, that's a story that, because there's so many caravans going up and down too, that's a story that may have made its way down, so that may have been part of your idea, is that there was once an elven ranger, albeit a drow, who did keep this place safe, so maybe that would be the reason you wanted to settle out here.
Okay. It sounds good. It sounds like this place is rife with trouble.
Oh yeah. Like there's.
Sounds like you're stealing my storyline.
We're both rangers, man.
Not that I'm wielding a scimitar for any particular reason.
I'm pretty sure they're stealing mine.
No. So, I don't. I have knives and a quarterstaff and a bow. I'm not stealing your thunder.
Lex and Falcaril basically reenact the scene from Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? Yup. All right.
We totally could. We could have just joined. We could be related even. I don't know. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, you guys are half elves. It could be the 2 of you. What do you guys think? You want to be brothers? It's an easy connection. Or
it's bunk beds. Bunk beds would be awesome.
Oh no.
I'm not opposed to
Brandon,
it.
what brings you up here?
Hey, Kev.
It is a caravan or what?
Kind of. So he one of my proficiencies, not weapon proficiencies, is astrology, and he noticed something was off to the north. He didn't know what it was, but he's always guided by nature, so he decided to just follow that impulse.
Yep.
And so he's got a scimitar. He can fight. He hooked up with a caravan eventually when he got farthest north, and just joined up with the group. Not knowing what he was going to find, but just sensing that he needed to do this.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so that's what kind of brings us up to speed for why all of us are in Bryn Shander. What is Erlich is definitely going to be found in the market square with everyone else. Falcaril and Lex, what are you guys thinking about all these developments?
It's just big as a mess as I thought it would be coming in. So Falcaril's he's more reserved and insightful than anything, so he's not going to offer advice unless it's asked for.
Okay.
But he's paying close attention and trying to put strings together.
Okay. So. What about Lex?
Lex is thinking there's something greater that's swaying the balance here that needs to be restored, and that we should not worry so much about the laws of this land and make sure that things are dealt with. This White Witch seems to be, something at least to be investigated before we decide further.
Okay. So unless there's anything else you guys want to do, Oswald has finished passing out his beers to everyone. Gorbin has finished making sure that everyone who is injured is, is being treated by an appropriate chirurgeon. Brune has finished, saying the last goodbyes to the people he knew on the caravan trail. Storr has said his last goodbyes to the other hirelings on the caravan. And you guys, what I was going to say is your options, right? So those of you, I think it sounds like Brune and Kola are the only ones really from here originally. So he's sort of Brune, you're sort of the tour guide here. What you know about the Northlook is it's the inn most frequented by mercenaries and adventurers, and it's said to be the rowdiest and most dangerous place to stay in Bryn Shander. At the same time, its tap room is the best place in all of 10 towns to get leads on profitable ventures, along with the latest rumors and news. The proprietor is a guy named Scramsax, who used to be a mercenary, as many of these guys are. And he's also said to kind of cut breaks for folks who are like between jobs or working off season or things like that. So if you guys need to find a longer place to stay for a longer period, the Northlook may be a good fit for that. Geldenstag's Rest. What you know about that place, Brune, is Myrtle runs that place, an old lady who is now a widow, who took over the inn after her husband was killed in the crossfire of a dispute between two mercenary groups that were staying there. She is very much a busybody, which means that she can be a very a pestering source of annoyance, or she can be a really good source of information, depending on how you approach the widow. She's, as you can imagine, not particularly keen on adventurers, or at least wants to do exhaustive due diligence to make sure that there will never be a repeat of the same thing that cost her husband his life. Kelvin's Comfort.
That was Geldenstag?
That was Geldenstag's Rest, in the east end of town. You'll be passing by Kelvin's Comfort, which you can see right on the road leading up to Market Square. Kelvin's Comfort is one of the most popular taverns in town, owing to its extensive stock of dwarven ales and brandies. Although the common room is bedecked with dwarven craft of Battlehammer make, most of the liquors are imported from Mirabar, on the far side of the Spine of the World. The one local specialty of note is a brew brought up from Goodmead. That's one of the towns to the south on the Redwater.
Goodmead is the name of the tavern?
Goodmead is the name of the town to the south, one of the 10 towns. Yeah, I can actually load... I'll give you guys a handout with the Icewind Dale on it so that you guys can... Oh, nope, don't want to choose a file. Fuck off. I want to grab one here. Where is it? There we go. The map that they've got here for the thing is just awesome. Like having those little call outs for each of the different towns in there.
Yeah, that's great.
Did this get reused in what do they call the Giants? Whatever, Storm Giants Wrath?
I definitely feel like I've seen it before in a 5e book.
Okay. So there is the George. If you're curious of the or Oswald, if you're curious of the actual map itself, I've just given you guys a handout that has the full Icewind Dale map on it. Okay. So that is Kelvin's Comfort. I think that we'll say that that's where Cola is for the purpose of today's session, and Cola was the one who had spoken to that woman as well too. There was that dwarven woman that you mentioned before, whose name escapes me right now.
Helga Silverstream.
Right. And Helga has she's apparently related to the Silverstreams, to Dane Stokely Silverstream, who is the head of the kind of community in the Dwarven Valley. Let's see here. What else? Rendarl's Emporium is the largest trade house. So if you need to buy anything, you can get that at Rendarl's Emporium. And Black Iron Blades is a small shop on the north side of the Market Square that basically sells affordable but really shitty blades. The best blades that you can get in town.
Love it.
The best blade you can get for not much money.
I have you, Stormbringer.
The Voidbringer.
Voidbringer. The thing is, with the abundance of dwarven crafted items coming in from the Dwarven Valley, it means that there's always better value or better quality stuff that's on hand. But Black Iron Blades sells stuff for very, very cheap, so you get what you pay for. So if there's nothing else that you guys want to say to the guards, we'll transition our scene into the Market Square, and let's go to that Market Square picture again because it's pretty darn cool. There we go. Okay, so let me orient everyone here. There we go. Oh, and I got a picture for Lex now. Pretty good, pretty good. And when that next Yeti attacks, I've got all your tokens there. I mean, of course, there won't be any more Yeti attacks.
That's all this campaign is. One session of role-playing, one session of Yeti.
Exactly.
Right. And we just go back and forth.
I'm not sure if you've seen online, the nickname for this adventure is the Yeti Grinder, because all I do is just keep throwing Yetis at you until you're all dead. And then we call it a session.
That's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, so
Great.
guys, then as you guys walk into the Market Square, it looks very much like you see here. Like, it's not... Bryn Shander is not an orderly, paved roads, or not paved, but like cobblestone roads everywhere with these, European-style buildings. This is very much the sort of thrown-together log houses or long houses that you can see. It has, everyone is dressed for the weather in here. Even in the outdoor market, you can see there is a bustling, there's a bustling crowd that's going around kind of getting supplies and stuff like that. But there's also, just like in the foreground there, some seedy types leaning in and talking. And Brune, that's something you don't remember from last time in town. There's every town has its kind of like criminal element, as it were. And the thieves guilds or the gangs that kind of come with them. This place is not. It doesn't have a thieves guild, or it never has at least. But there's been people who fancy themselves tough guys or tough girls. But you can see there's a small kind of gang of younger men who you don't recognize, who seem to be carrying themselves and hassling some folks as if they were big shots. That's not something you've seen before. But the thing that really, you sort of notice that, but the other thing is, standing lashed to the pole is a tall, muscular, what do you call it? Human man, clearly from the Rhaegar tribes, long blonde hair, who is trying to, plead for help from anyone who's passing by. And in the same kind of like beggar in a big city type thing, everyone is just looking straight through him or completely ignoring him altogether. What you can see is Erlich trying to strike up a conversation with some dwarf, trying to find out where the Northlook is, and he's examining this sword of his and pointing out the shortcomings in the dwarf's craftsmanship. It seems like the dwarf may be about 5-6 seconds away from punching him in the stomach.
Yeah.
Is that about right there, Brandon?
That's about right.
Okay. So what do you guys do as you come walking into the market square?
Store wants to look around for a wool merchant. He's going to try and find out what the evidence is against this Rhaegar tribesman.
If you ask, well, you could actually, you could have asked the sheriff as to who it was. As well.
Yeah, I know, but is that fine?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we don't. That kind of stuff, I don't mind going back on your. You know, we're not, because of the size of the party, we're not going to like sit and role play through every specific, interaction in detail, and I'm going to hold you to whatever you ask there. It's fine that you would have asked a little further. What he tells you, and maybe even Brune could have filled you in on that because he's a local. The wool merchant is someone named Brinna Alcott, and I'll put that in the chat here. And you know that Brune, she's one of the locals who sells wools, linens, and sewing supplies.
Okay. I think that Bruin, if no one's really giving him any direction, he would be steering everyone to the sort of more rowdy bar because that's where he feels more at home.
Okay. Northlook? Okay.
No,
Yeah, the Northlook.
first.
Well, and that's where the apothecary told you to go and, get that money from Slim.
That's where I'm going.
Okay. So Erlich looks over and says, "Oh, here we are." So,
Can I talk to this Brenna? Is she around or?
yeah. Her shop is not far off from the, what do you call it? From the town square, if you want to go. So you're gonna head off and talk to her. Who's going with Store?
Randon will.
Okay.
Lex will go.
Okay.
Yeah, Falcor is going to frown at the Rowdy Tavern, and I don't want to go in there. Not with a falcon.
Okay. This is a rescue falcon. It doesn't handle crowds well.
Well, it needs to be hooded first. So.
Okay.
You couldn't afford a hood.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a hood. I just.
Okay, so Store, Lex, Falcaril, and Randon head off. The rest of you guys, Brune is pushing everyone northward. Gorwin, you can clearly the person you're looking for is this guy in the.
Yeah. I'm just gonna walk up to him, and I'm happy since we got so many. I'm happy to just do my conversation in Discord or something after.
No, we can do it. We'll just break it up. I'm just trying to set up
Okay.
the different scenes. We'll go back and forth between the scenes here.
Yeah.
So we'll assume the rest of you guys are in here now. What you can tell, and what Brune can maybe, if you start walking directly up towards him, Brune, you can kind of put a hand on his shoulder and say, like, everyone is watching. Like if everyone, it's not going to be prohibited necessarily, but everyone will know that you've spoken to this guy if you go over and talk to him now.
Yep.
It's getting later in the
okay
day,
with
so the towns are okay. So Gorwin is heading over to talk to this tribesman. Is anyone else going with Gorwin, or trying to do a distraction or something like that?
I thought this is where Oswald was actually trying to apply the guards with alcohol with
Yes.
the guards of this guy.
Oh, it's the guards of this guy you're trying to apply with.
Yeah,
like,
that was his intention, I believe.
Correct. That is correct.
Oh,
Yes. My name is Oswald Elderberry. My goal is to become a paladin. I am trying to ply these guards with liquor. That's my goal. Hey, I've written it down. That's that's my opening line. My name is Oswald Elderberry. My goal is to become a paladin. And I try to ply these guards, and I really want to try to
So
talk to this guy and see how he's.
I'm picturing you
I'm gonna
walking up
bribe
with
some guards.
this big. I'm picturing you walking up with this big cask and kind of setting it down in front of them, standing up on it,
You're right. And I would
clearing
have
your
3
throat.
glasses. I would have 2 for the guards and 1 for the guy.
What's your charisma score?
I don't know. Oh, well,
Well, I need that, please.
Oswald Elderberry, charisma.
5.
It's a 5. Okay. Yeah, my that's totally wrong. Oh well. So
It'd have to be at least 8
anyway,
because it
apparently
was
it's
44
5.
plus 4.
What is he here? Okay.
Well,
I was
I'm gonna
joking
skip
about
that.
the 5.
That's my opening. My name is Oswald Elderberry. My goal is to become a paladin.
Okay,
And
so-
I bring them their their drinks in their flasks. I have a third one that I'm going to try to give some sort of comfort and aid to this poor that I genuinely believe is wrongly used
Okay.
individual.
So they.
And is he tied to a yoke, or is he in a?
Well, first off, the guards the guards tell you to move on. You go through your whole rigmarole. You offer them a drink. They're like, "Go on, go." And if you try and offer,
I'll leave the drinks on the ground.
Okay.
I will leave their drinks there. This is for you. These are for you.
So, and if you try and give a drink to him, they say, "Hey, no." Sheriff says he gets nothing.
Okay.
And then one of them stops and thinks and says, "Hold on, do you have a license to sell here?" So,
yes.
While you didn't necessarily, you haven't distracted them with liquor, you have distracted them with something else. So their attention is focused on Oswald, the illegal merchant. You're effectively you're the Bryn Shander equivalent of a guy with a.
And I've got herring. I've got herring bread. Look at my list of food herring items. Obviously, this is a very cold night, gentlemen. Very cold night, bad weather.
Okay, so they're more interested.
Brandy. I didn't simply bring you beer.
Hold on, George. Hold on. They're more interested in your lack of a license than they are in any of your wares. But you definitely have them distracted at this point.
I absolutely have a license.
Yeah. So
yes.
Okay. So you say you have it's in. I had it back here somewhere, which means that the guards are distracted for Gorwin and for anyone else who's with him to go up. So we leave that scene with you guys walking up towards the last barbarian, and we cut to Store and the rest of the guys walking into this wool shop. So you guys walk in, and it's very much like one of these, kind of Norse style buildings with the cross beams going over. As you walk in, there's stacks of woolen. There's like raw wool in bundles and stuff like that rolled up on different places. There's bolts of fabric that are in here. There is knit woolen blankets and things like that. And as you walk in, you hear this woman, say, "Oh, close the door, please." And when she's about maybe in her mid to late 40s, she does have one other person who seems to be working in the shop who's dealing with some other customer in there. She has short hair. She's dressed, bundled up in a lot of wool. And when she sees the lot of you kind of come in, she says, "Oh, I'm sorry. We don't offer much in the way of clothing and such here." This is to you, Store. This is to Store, Falcaril, and Lex. Well, you guys are dressed like you're fresh off the caravan trail, right? So
I am wearing a horse's blanket as a coat.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about your horse's blanket. Okay, so she says, "I'm sorry, can I help you with something? Are you at the... Have you been instructed to pick up something for someone?" She's assuming you're not merchants.
No, I'm afraid we're not here for that. We only wish to ask you a few questions. We know that the speaker and Sheriff Southwell take care of things, but we do have some concerns and heard that you were robbed. We were wondering if you could tell us who robbed you.
She gets kind of a surprised look on her face and sort of looks over at the customers dealing with her staff member and kind of looks back at you. What is your charisma there, Hobbs? Isn't that huge?
I think it's 17, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, 17.
Okay, so, and, wow. Let me just check the reaction here. No, I rolled incredibly well for you.
I think it's plus 100. Here, let me make you a coat.
You're taking player tips from Steve. I don't know, 8?
By the way, I like the character pick for Store. Was that photoshopped? Or did you find
no,
it
it's something I found online.
It's what I used for Eutheric in the other campaign, except it's been an axe added. And
I'm looking at a picture of Hobbs with the red toque, and I'm like, what?
Nice.
Like, he looks a lot like Hobbs.
You look kind of fat in that picture.
Let's see. Yeah, +6 reaction adjustment. Holy smokes. All right. So she, you can pretty much see the color drain from her face as soon as you bring this up. And for context, Store has got an incredibly imposing presence. So, there's a reason that he was put in charge of kind of the caravan guards. There's a reason that he's, he has the position he has, and he speaks the way he does. He says things as if expecting them to be listened to, and commands are expected to be followed. She sort of, looks at wildly over at the other people in the shop, and then looks back at you, Store, and says, he stole stocks. I mean, it was that barbarian, the Rhaegar tribes. He came in and he took it wasn't the stocks. It was personal items. He stole personal items from me. But he was caught though. They caught him.
They did, and he will die tonight if we don't figure out exactly what happened. If this is true.
Well, I told you he took my lockbox. He took my lockbox.
That's your personal item?
And you're positive it was him? You're willing to let a man die for this?
Yes. Yes, I mean such things are. He's a thief. He stole my lockbox. So
and it seems like that's totally true.
No, I mean she's told you that he started telling you he was stealing one thing, then changed the story to being personal effects, and then changed it to being
lockbox. Yeah, it's
you just really rattled her here, so she's stammering out, and if you were to guess, she's having trouble remembering what lie she stuck with.
Well, if somehow you have forgotten and made a mistake, I fear what the repercussions may be in Bryn Shander and 10 towns in general if we are killing tribesmen for things that they did not actually commit.
She looks over at the customers that are dealing with the other ones who they're kind of looky-loos, trying to figure out why she's talking to these armored fellows, and she leans in and says, I fear for what happens if we don't.
And what might that be?
She looks outside and leans in. You know, don't you? You know what this winter portends.
It's been a while since I've been in town. Perhaps you could tell me, Miss Alcott.
She looks over at the two elves and kind of, pulls you in. If he doesn't die, the Frost Maiden will come for all of us and freeze all of these towns from the Dale itself. And you know enough that, because this is for two reasons. One, you know who Auril is. Auril is a goddess who is more feared than she is venerated. That is the one of the gods that kind of fit the kind of area of like the fearful things, the gods of the storm, gods of the tempest, and for her, gods of snow and ice. She is a goddess that is feared here. Hold on, John. The other thing that you know, because of where you come from, Auril is venerated in Luskan. It's one of the goddesses. Tempest is, or Talos, I think, is the storm god in Forgotten Realms. But Auril is also one of those. She is feared more so than anything else. But she does have a connection. The people living in the 10 towns, no one would be foolish enough to venerate her because she would want all warmth and all life extinguished. Mm-hmm. But this is madness. Sorry, John, what were you going to ask?
Oh, I was I have religion as a non-weapon proficiency. I was wondering if I could get more specific information about her.
That's what you got.
Okay.
I don't know how much more
Yeah.
specific.
What more do you want?
Well, yeah, well, no,
She
I mean,
also worships
yeah.
on Tuesday, and
As you continue to go, I realized I didn't need it, so
Yeah.
Trees, all of human life, and animals, and
yeah. If there's more stuff like that's good to know that you've got that proficiency though. So if there are if you have questions about the particulars of, well, here's what I will give you, John, is because I think your keen elven ears likely overheard this. If what they're doing is leaving this guy out to die in the elements, that is absolutely the way that you would provide an offering to Alril.
to appease her. Okay. I don't approve of human sacrifice.
That's right. They only say elven sec. Oh, you're a half elf.
So this woman is basically trying to plead with you. She seems to think that this needs to happen. So, and suffice to say, the cult of Auril is not welcome in Bryn Shander. Absolutely not. The sort of recognized faiths in here are the Morning Lord, who is an enemy of Auril, and there's a temple to the House of the Triad, a house of worship that is dedicated towards Tyr, the god of justice, Torm, the god of duty and loyalty, and Ilmater, the god of endurance in the face of suffering, also known as the dumb god.
So Store, now realizing that that's what she is basically saying, he'll I am from Luskin myself, and if there is worship to the maiden, I would be curious to know where.
She kind of looks at, her eyes dance. She looks back at you, and she says, "The elves too. To the elves."
Who knows the ways of the elves? Perhaps just between you and I.
They cannot interfere if the elves know. If they try to thwart the Frost Maiden's will, we should kill them.
What?
Or
This is crazy talk.
Look at his face.
she leans in even closer. She says, "Perhaps they stole something as well. More offerings for the Frost Maiden. I will say this. And Henna," and she gestures to the assistants, "she will agree. Join us. We'll say this. They will be silenced."
I see. Was this your own plan, or is someone else asking you to do so?
She's looking at you, and then she decided, because you're just so goddamn charming, that she can trust you. Davric Fane. He is the blessed of Auril. Caught in the first of the blizzards he was. Blessed with her. Blessed by her. The name Davric Fane doesn't mean anything to you. It's not someone who's not like a leader in the community or anything like that, but it is, yeah.
Nice. All right, that sounds great. Ooh, okay.
That sounds great. Let's.
I was just gonna ask how you spell it.
Fantastic.
All right then. Thanks for the good talk.
She said, "Wait. These elves. We should move them into the back. You can overpower them. You seem stronger. We'll call the guards. I can tell the sheriff again. These ones came, confederates of that barbarian."
Ah, she needs an arrow in the head.
When is the next time that you will hear the tongue of the blessed? Where might I hear this?
I know not. Come back when I get word from Davric, from the chosen of Auril. It said he is favored by the Frost Maiden. This, and she gestures outside the shop in the direction of the square, that will be the first offering. You are so clever. We'll wait. Those will be later offerings to the Frost Maiden.
Yes, my cleverness knows no bounds.
Of course. She's completely blinded by your charm.
All right. With a nod, I'll wander off and motion for the elves.
Wait. What is your name?
Store. You can find me at the Northbrook Tavern.
Store.
North.
Here.
North.
I will know. And she goes over to the shelf and she grabs one of the woolen blankets that was robbed. And she says, "Here," or not robbed, but one of the woolen blankets from the thing, and brings it over to you. She says, "Take this. Get rid of that thing. Take this. I will recognize you." And it is it's a very easily distinguishable thing. What do you think that it looks like, Hobbs?
I was like, sounds like one of those kind of hippie hoodies that they used to have. It looks like the woven wool. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Poncho. Nothing makes me look badass like my poncho. Okay. Lex and Falcaril, you're there. You didn't hear the last bit of the conversation because she did pull Store kind of away from you guys once he became aware, but you did hear enough of when she started talking about Alril and the Frost Maiden.
And the fact that she was lying through her teeth right from the beginning.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious to you guys as well.
Yeah.
So, with the rest of you guys, unless there's anything else you want to deal with in Brenna's shop, Hobbs will leave with his brand new poncho. Lex and Falcaril staring daggers at her. We'll leave the shop as well too. And what we'll do, guys, is I see we're at our halfway point. Why don't we take our 5-minute break right now, mid-session break? We'll come back and we'll cut to the scene in the Market Square where Oswald is looking for his business license.
It's here somewhere. I know I have it.
I could swear I had. Oh yeah, Rannon, you were there as well too, so you would have overheard this.
Yeah, I got it right here. Okay, we'll get that.
Yeah. Okay, so for those at home,
I kind of like the 5 charisma.
You actually have a 10 charisma or 11 charisma. You're not that
I have
bad.
10. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So
I was just listening to whoever it is count on that. But
okay,
whatever it is, it's probably bad.
Back in a moment, folks.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I know my mechanical keyboard's pretty loud. Can you hear me typing while I'm taking notes?
Can you try typing now? Yes.
Okay, well then I will try to mute while I'm taking notes.
Honestly, I kind of tune that out so I don't notice.
Well, I just don't want... I know Hangouts has trouble when there's multiple audio sources. And so I don't want to accidentally make it hard for somebody to talk.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about Hangout, you don't have like a push to talk option.
Yeah, it's apparently there's a plugin that you can use. It got linked on the Discord.
Hey, I can barely hear Thomas. Man, they were right that I really felt like a itchy bow finger, just arrow at her.
Yeah.
That's not the sort of game we play. That's the Murder Hobo Adventures.
Hey, I admitted that I had the temptation. I didn't act upon it. Now that Kevin said I didn't actually hear the part about sacrificing the elves, the urge went away. Trying to play the ranger like they're portrayed in the book.
Test one.
So. Hey, I heard a little bit of Mo. Did you hear him?
I heard a tiny bit of something.
I heard a little bit of it.
So, Brandon, what kind of character are you playing?
He's a Melnorothian. He speaks. He's from Melnor. He's actually a nobleman trying to, well, a minor nobleman trying to escape from the responsibilities of having to take over his mother's estate or become an adult. So he's escaping into the north to dye his hair white, write bad poetry, and
bear Voidbringer, stealer of souls.
That's right. Except it's a.
Hey, do you guys know who Robert Service is?
Robert who?
Robert Service. Anybody guys heard of him?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's super famous.
Historian.
He's a poet.
A poet.
Yeah, he was basically like another version of Jack London. He was another one of these guys that was English that decided to travel across the wastes of Canada, and it's very Icewind, like what we're talking about now, where you go through this desolate, wild area.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
did we lose Mo?
I don't think that's the poetry Ehrlich is intending to write.
He's still in Hangout.
Well, yeah, it's like that.
No,
he wrote about roaches and having to cremate friends and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that's the poetry I think Ehrlich, once he grows up a little bit, that's what he might write. But for now,
yeah,
it's
Robert Service.
For now, it's
is the Hemingway of poets.
Oh, okay. I'll look into it.
As far as like manly poetry.
Oh, I'll be right back. Let's see if
the wolves are back.
Yeah.
I guess wolves howl more than bark, but you know.
I got my books that I got from Shea Webster, Arlen.
Nice. What'd you get?
I didn't know they were hardcover. You ever heard of this, The Demon Plague?
No.
I have not. I'm gonna look it up right now.
And then this is the other one.
Oh,
Neoclassical Geek
Revival. Geek Revival.
Yeah,
nice.
Man. So The Demon Plague is by James Introcaso and John Four. It's like a 5e level 1 to 20 thing.
Really?
Sandbox meets Hexcrawl meets Epic Storyline.
That actually sounds kind of interesting.
I didn't know these were hardcovers. I thought they were soft covers before he sent them to me. I just had to pay shipping, but I don't know. I can't say that have you guys actually ever read Neoclassical Geek Revival?
Not yet.
I have it, but I don't think I've read it.
It's the way that he writes is interesting, but it's kind of esoteric in some ways. And he does some different.
I have a lot of his adventures, and I like a lot of them.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
Sarkov, very famous adventures for sure.
Okay. Okay, George is Straighten is waiting to come back, and Mo. Mo, can you hear us, Mo?
Mo dropped out of the hangout. It looks like too.
Yeah, just recently.
He's been sick, so I don't know. Not coronavirus sick, but he's been ill. Yeah. So I'm not. He said he might have to drop out and drop back in. So we'll just leave his spot.
Well, and he's having audio issues because he was trying to talk and we couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't mean to brag, but you guys should take a look at the party notes handout because it's like 3 pages long.
That's awesome.
Fucking
Good
great.
job. Yeah, thanks.
There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on.
Awesome. Thanks, Arlen, for tracking on.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
No worries.
I'm just mad that I couldn't edit it myself.
I tell you what, Hobbs, when you're absent, we have no mapping going on, so you're.
Select all and delete. Select all and delete, Hobbs. That's all you need to do.
One of the games I played last night was Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea with Tim DeShane.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got a sweet map while we played that game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, jeez.
Wow.
Hobbs,
Yeah,
I'm beginning to think you've done this thing before.
A couple times. The guys who were watching the stream were like, what the hell is Hobbs doing? I can only see the top of his head most of the time.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, so guys, we cut back to the scene in the market square, and I'm just gonna I'll make Alexa a wee bit smaller here. There we go. Where we see once again, Oswald has completely and thoroughly distracted the guards with his shenanigans. Lex, and to get an idea of what's happening behind this screen here, George, because we haven't, this is the first time you played an ongoing AD&D thing. AD&D has random reactions, and I definitely make use of that when I'm doing my NPCs. So I don't use modern game style, like make a diplomacy check or shit like that. Like we just role play through things, and then it plays out how it appropriately plays out. But the way I set the starting point for that is we make random reaction rolls modified by your charisma. So that tells you sort of how interested, disinterested they are in you. They were borderline hostile with you when you came up. So that's why they were like, no. We don't want, we don't want your drinks and whatever else too. And when you press it, that's like, wait, hold on. How are you even selling shit here? I'm not sure I've seen you before. Where's your papers?
Yeah. Oh, well, I've got them right here. And by the way, as you know, I am a paladin training. My God is, has anyone spoken to you of the Book of Kevin?
So they're thoroughly distracted by this confusing thing that Oswald is doing.
You know, it's the third book of the trilogy, so I'll break in. I'll break into some sort of
Yeah.
The Book of Kevin.
So then Gorwin and Brune, you're the only ones who were occupied. Brune, you sort of see that the guards are occupied. I'm not sure if you were concerned about Gorwin going over. He seems intent on doing that anyway. Why is the token under me? But Gorwin, you walk up, and this man, what you can see is this is kind of the the D&D equivalent of seeing someone's names in credits at the start of the show, where it's like, oh fuck, well I know they're going to be important now. But what are you gonna do? Let me give you a handout here.
Well, I guess if he dies tonight, he might not be as important as we expected.
Yeah.
So
this is something that's very cool. There's not an assumed ending to this particular game, and there are more problems than you can deal with, which is pretty fucking cool.
Would that be like Steven Seagal's 5 Minutes of Fame in that one action movie, where he dies falling out of a plane?
Oh, executive action or whatever. Yeah.
What's that one?
Executive decision. That's what it was.
Executive decision. Steven Seagal gets top billing, and he's in the movie for like 10 minutes, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is what the guy looks like. Hengar Ainsvard. Although he is not in the handsome and, you know, shaved and well-dressed condition. He is wearing a very, very loose, like, cotton shirt that's been torn. You can see that he clearly was not taken without a struggle. He's got, there's blood stains that have either dried or frozen on his body. One of his eyes is sort of swollen over. And as you're walking towards him, he kind of, in spite of the beating and the exposure to the elements, like, you guys are dressed for very, very warm, you know, winter, or at least comfortable winter travel. This guy's wearing barely anything. You know, no shoes. It's got to be excruciating. But he manages to get himself up to his feet, and he says, Elf, please help me. I came here seeking aid for my people, and I fear that without it they will perish. And if my tribe falls, nothing will shield the people of the 10 towns from the wrath of the Ice Witch. You must believe me. Everyone else is completely avoiding eye contact and acting as if this guy is not saying anything. The guards, fortunately, are completely occupied with their halfling interlocutor. What do you say?
He's shouting at this point?
At you, yeah.
Yeah. So I will come up to him and at a sort of respectful distance say, please, my friend, there's no need to shout. We can have a simple conversation and hopefully I can help you, but it would be best to stay. I understand the plight of your people, but I need as much information as possible to help. I only have 11 charisma, so he's probably not.
He is pretty darn desperate though. So like this is yeah. So he looks at you, and he looks over at the guards, and then says, "Yes, I can talk. I can be calm, but you must listen."
I'm all pointed ears.
This early winter, these soft folk talk about the winter hitting hard. They know nothing of the full weight of what this winter brings. The winter hit us first, bless you. And though we have the tribe, my tribe, the tribe of the elk, has weathered it thus far, the situation grows more dire every day. And every day, a woman that we know only as the Ice Witch has been leading bands of wild beasts to attack our camps. You say that things are here. I hear the guards blame me for some attack on this city. This is nothing compared to what the witch brings on our people. Every time that we try to strike out at her, she disappears into a storm as if swallowed by it altogether, only to reappear days later with even more beasts at her command. The weather itself seeming to be but one of the things that follow her command, as those beasts do, as it seems those in this tribe. I did not steal from that woman. I came here looking for help for all of us, and for my people. My people will stand as the vanguard against this Ice Witch. But now, and he rattles against the chains, now I'm to die in these elements. I tell you, if I die here and my people fall, yours will be the next to feel the wrath of the Ice Witch.
Okay, so I will respond. If you did not steal from the woman, why did the guards arrest you? In what situation did they do so?
On her lies, and her shifting lies. She said I stole wool, then changed that, saying that I stole personal belongings of hers, before landing on that I stole from her lockbox. What value would I have from coin? What mercenaries are there to hire? I came to this town seeking help from the 10 towns. And instead what I get is this.
Is there anyone who could demonstrate or otherwise attest to your innocence in town? Perhaps someone you were sharing a room with in a tavern or anything like that?
I had only arrived here. My first day seeking help. And then suddenly I suddenly find myself imprisoned, sentenced to die.
Where did the guards pick you up?
Near the, not far off the market square. I hear that the Northlook is where mercenaries can be had. I had spent time there, and then was instructed to go elsewhere, to speak to others. I hear that a tavern was coming, or that a caravan was coming, hoping I might find a meeting with the speaker. The speaker of Bryn Shander speaks for all the 10 towns. It seems much has changed in 100 years. Where once we would stand with you, now you accuse us of theft, fabricate lies, kill us. Would that I had no hope. I would think that the towns themselves are in league with the witch. Though I know that if they are allies, they will be but temporary ones who will fall beneath her fury, as my tribe will.
I am deeply troubled by your plight, Hengar, and I promise I will do what I can to relieve you of it. It may take some time, but we will speak to the speaker about what you have told us, and I may have perhaps one of my companions can be convincing enough to at least allow for a stay of execution and longer to prove your innocence, if nothing else.
It was that lying bitch's word against mine. I will not hold out too much hope, Elf, but I thank you for taking my time. If you cannot save me, save my people. Go to the tribe of the Elf. If these people, and he kind of shouts it to the collected crowd, if they wish to ignore my pleas and ignore this threat, do not ignore it yourself. And he gestures with his chest, and you can see there's an amulet that's hanging there that seems to be this crudely made thing of a pendant around. There's 2 pieces of antler that have been carved to look like the horns of an elk. Take this, and you will find safety, and save my people. If you save them, you save the rest of you. If you do not, we will all freeze.
Okay, well, it's not like he can hand it to me, right? So I have to reach out and pull it off him.
Yeah. So you get up there.
So I
as you do, if you take it off of him.
Well, I was thinking kind of like almost like try to make it look like a punch to just swipe it.
Okay.
So that if the guards ask me, I can pretend that I didn't.
Yeah. Give me a dex check. Let's just see. I think by getting up so close to him, that will kind of draw their attention.
Less than 16.
No. 19. Okay. So you, Brune, you can see this as well too, and Oswald, you can see this out of the corner of your eye. Gorwin steps up to the pole in the middle of the market square there, and you grab this thing, but unfortunately I think you sort of lose your footing as you're going back down, and you stumble down, and the guards both look over from where they were talking to Oswald, and they're like, hey you, get away from, what are you doing to him? I told them.
In my hand, or is it still like on his neck?
You've got it in your hand now, but there's an obvious chain that's sort of hanging from your things. Brune can see this, Oswald can see this, and Gorwin can see this.
Yeah. Then I will say to him, I will be back at the very least to provide some comfort before
don't talk
exposure.
to him.
And then I'll go over to the guards.
Okay, so the guards walk over. What are you doing up there?
And I'll open my hand to show them. He asked me to give this to his people if he cannot be saved. It seemed the least I could do for a dying man.
Okay. They seem pretty angry about this. And Brune, you probably recognize at least maybe one of these guys. They seem pretty pissed off. They look like they're going to, no doubt because they're ratcheted up with this confusing, verbal labyrinth they've been navigating with Oswald about the third book of Kev. And they're just like, what? No. And they snatch it from you, or they try to at least. Do you try and resist it, or? Brune, you can feel you're standing right there as well too, so you can feel.
Yeah, I think Brune would come. I think he'd probably have bought some ale or something from one of the little street vendors, and he was just sort of watching this unfold. But now he'll say, "Oh shit," and he'll walk over.
So the thieves kind of snatch this thing, or try to snatch it from you, saying that the thieves get nothing, or the guards get it. Thieves get nothing.
So I'm gonna kind of close my hand, but I'm fine with them like grabbing my wrist or something.
Okay, so that's what we see as. So Oswald, you see this happening as well too. The guards have left you. They're pissed at Gorwin for having talked to this guy.
This poor man's wife. Ashley, come over here. Your husband has been chained. Come over. I can't believe that this is happening. Ashley, his wife, Ashley, come over. We're trying to help him. My name is Oswald Elderberry. I am a paladin in training. All I wish to do is give this man one last moment of comfort to see his wife. Ashley, come over. See your husband.
What is this you hear? Is it a kindred soul?
I dare not.
Don Quixote and Don Quixote.
I dare not tarry here.
Okay, so the one guard sort of turns towards you and towards Oswald again and says, "Are you mad, halfling?" And it distracts enough so you can easily get your hand back and stow the pendant away. It seems that he has once again distracted the guards, so you're able to stow that thing with, and they will forget it if you make your way out of here. Brune, you've now walked up, you've kind of finished your drink. It looks like the guards are ready to start hassling Gorwin, but Oswald is providing a admirable distraction.
All right, so I'm gonna stow it on a belt pouch or something, and then I think I'm gonna kind of nod my head towards Brune that I'm going in the direction where Storr went to try to find him.
Okay. So Mo, I've assumed that. Can you hear us, Mo? I can see Mo in Roll20, but I can't hear him.
I can see him in the Hangouts, but Mo, say something?
Yeah.
Or type something in the chat if you can hear us.
Or type in the chat, yeah.
And Kevin,
okay.
I am waving towards at least some random woman to try to come over.
Yeah.
And I'll describe her if you want me to just.
No, she's going to ignore you anyway. They want nothing to do with this barbarian.
No,
so.
Ashley,
okay.
Come over here. This is your husband.
Okay. So, Oswald is distracted. Erlich, what we'll say is that as you guys, as Gorwin, Brune, and I'm assuming Thomas is with you as well too. You guys are like kind of making your way off in that direction as Storr, Falcarel, Lex, and Rannin are making their way back. So you guys can all meet up. The other two ones making the distraction. Erlich is sort of, I'm imagining, just taking in what's going on here, and Thomas is walking behind the rest of the guys, remarkably silent right now, eerily some might say.
Oh, I don't know if Erlich's taking in anything. I think he's just trying to get to the end. He's got business.
Okay, so he has given direction towards it. So we'll say he heads off in that direction.
Okay.
So the So just it's a big group. It's going to be tricky to just cut to one person doing one thing.
Oh no,
Just
totally.
FYI. So I'm not
Yeah.
trying to ignore your characters. Just we got to kind of prorate.
No, totally.
Yeah. The if only So, Store, you come walking up. Have you shared what your conversation with this wool merchant was with Lex and Falcaro?
Yeah, we'll have been talking about it, and I was going to attempt to see what their thoughts were. But as we reach the marketplace and see Gorwin approaching, I'll tell him to hold off so we can all maybe discuss it.
Sure.
Together.
Okay. So you guys are all back together now too, with the exception of Erlich, who's headed off to the north. Look. So what?
Right. Testing.
Oh, we can hear you. Mo, we can hear you.
Nice.
Sorry, I had
game's over.
my
See
back
you
on
tomorrow.
digital, not line.
Oh wow.
So
I don't know what that is.
what we've assumed, Mo, is that Tom has been kind of hanging out in the market square with everyone else while Gorwin spoke to the barbarian. I'm not sure if you missed that part. But now, I guess maybe Thomas. Well, you know what we'll say is that Thomas was distracted by some bauble or something in the thing, or maybe he was just wrapped with the production that Oswald was putting on for the benefit of the guards. So,
Right. The book of Kevin and trying to get this guy's wife.
Okay, so the rest of you guys all you guys have all met up again now, and you definitely have the other, with all of you guys back together, even just outside of the market square, the kind of collection of ruffians that I mentioned before, the ones that you had not recognized before. Brune, they're taking a little bit of interest in this, collection of armed men who have, I think it's all men, right? Or is there any women? Is Lex a woman?
Nope.
He's an elf. Close enough.
So this collection of armed men who are kind of talking. So you guys can feel free to have a private conversation now. What are you guys thinking?
Do we want to have to go through the sharing the knowledge role play, or just say that we just share each other's knowledge? Is that cool?
Let's role play it a little bit.
All right. Cool. All right, Gorwin. Any news from the tribesmen?
Yeah, I will start by saying I spoke to the tribesman, and he described his elk tribe under assault by a winter witch. And I took an amulet from him that he asked me to give to his people if we cannot save him, but I believe that we ought to attempt to speak to the speaker of Bryn Shander to, at least, I suggested perhaps we can commute his sentence if we cannot prove his innocence.
We don't, it doesn't seem like we have long. I was thinking perhaps that we could go to the sheriff, because I have gained at least hearsay from the person who accused the tribesmen of the theft that it was not an actual theft. But I think letting others know this may not allow us to draw out this cult of Avril that seems to infest Bryn Shander.
Well, yes,
Greater.
I mean, it does sound like they've been worshipping for a while. Maybe we should talk to one of the other clerics?
How do we know that the sheriff's not potentially a member of the cult? If they went along with this woman's claim so easily.
Well, I mean, they needed to be able to easily pinpoint it on someone, I believe. I don't see Southwell being involved in the cult, but it's possible. I mean, who knows the hearts of men?
Who's to know? I can vouch for the elk tribe. They are definitely one of the most friendly of all the tribes, and they have not caused trouble for over a century.
I just don't know if we'll get in to see the speaker today.
Mm-hmm.
But what it comes to, I would hate to see an innocent man die, and because what it would cause for the interrelationships between 10 towns and the.
So normally, just to give you context for the setting too. Normally, it would be tricky to get in to see the speaker because she's busy and whatever. But the guys who just saved the caravan and the town from a bunch of marauding Yeti, it's pretty good in.
Yeah, what's up?
All right. Well, then we should probably make a case.
Story, you may not know because you were busy in the fight, but I helped with some of the guards, and I was thinking perhaps we could make a deal to exchange that help for, like I said, a commuting of the sentence, and the sheriff or the speaker may be the one who can do that.
Well, if you think we can get into the speaker, then we should.
Yeah, we should at least try to save his life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps the speaker will have a broader sense of the land, and the big picture will be more applicable than just one person's claim.
Yeah.
Well, and even Story, you said there's a cult of Auril.
Indeed, from what I can tell.
Is there any chance that the sheriff is involved with this?
I doubt it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Kev, you said I knew the sheriff a little bit. What do I feel about that?
Auril is absolutely not a welcome goddess in here. It would be weird for anyone to turn towards her. He certainly would not strike. You wouldn't pick him as the first one to throw in with it.
Okay.
I don't think you know him as a devout man necessarily, but certainly not as someone who would throw in. To be like a worshiper of Auril or a cultist of Auril in this region is to either be take your pick of insane, nihilistic, or so desperate to that you'd pray to anyone to try and save yourself.
Okay.
Ooh, I want to know who they are.
So I would point that out. I doubt the sheriff's involved. He doesn't seem the sort to get in with a lot like that.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I think he's just having the wool pulled over his eyes.
Guys, I would say I am a paladin in training. I am trained in lawful good. And this sheriff, there is no sheriff that is going to randomly condemn. That is one of my people. That is the lawful good. None of us would condemn a man so quickly as has happened here. And he may be a thief, and I believe he may be. I believe there is something wrong with this, because I don't believe that a sheriff I just do not believe that a sheriff who is experienced and educated and knows what he's doing is going to condemn a man as quickly as he has condemned this one. And I genuinely believe something is wrong.
Software says the halfling speaks strangely, but I trust his instincts.
I mean, how do we even
Although
know
this is a harsh land, and he is not of their people.
He's following their laws. The laws is all that the sheriff is doing.
Yes, I think
Those of us that are lawful good, we look at, sure, we follow the law. But
remember that lawful good is not an actual thing in the world, right?
We would never condemn.
It is to Erlich. Chaos. Well, chaos is a thing.
Okay, whatever. It is to. Hey, my father was a guard in the towers of France, so my father understood what what dedication and virtue was, because he did, so.
But these are the
anyway,
these are the 10 towns of the 10 towns. These are backwater. I've been through larger.
But I don't believe that an educated experienced law enforcement officer looks at something so from so one-sided as has happened here.
Rannon, you're a druid, so am I correct in thinking that you're kind of from a frontier kind of thing, somewhere in the realms where you would be exposed to?
Yeah, outside Neverwinter or something like that.
Oh, okay. So here's another thing that means you are familiar with the Utgard tribes, and the Utgard tribes are different from the Rhaegar tribes, but there is one thing that is true. How do you think barbarian tribes take being wronged by the civilized folk?
It's complete affront to everything they stand for.
So how do you think things might happen? How do you think the elk tribe might take this guy being left to freeze to death outside?
I mean, a war will begin almost immediately between the civilized world up here and the lands of the barbarians. It will not be good for anyone if this frost witch is out there doing even worse things. I think we must speak to the speaker and tell her all we know and see what she says. Hopefully she is wise. As
With
Oswald
haste.
was saying, yes, as an experienced and wise person should understand there is much to lose here and some to be gained if we should work together.
Okay. So it sounds like everyone other than Erlich is thinking of talking to the speaker.
Mhm.
Is that right? Mo, you've been, sorry, because of technical issues, you've been out a little bit too. Does Tom have anything to add?
No, I think we should go to the speaker or possibly a known good cleric. Don't necessarily know the sheriff is a good guy, to be honest.
Oh, you know, Mo, you actually, so you may have missed because of tech issues, but you're back up to full health right now. Because you did meet a cleric of,
Let
that
me
was,
do that.
she is a cleric of a Monitor, who's the god of the sun. And she seems to be, at the very least, an acquaintance of Brune as well. So, while everyone else sort of makes their way towards... Oh, go ahead.
Is a monitor the same as the Morning Lord?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a
And
Monitor.
how do you spell it?
Oh, a Monitor. Give me a sec here. I'm going to guess, and then I'll look it up.
Cool. That's, I guess, is just fine.
I think that's...
Right.
That's correct. I remember because there's a puzzle in Baldur's Gate 2 where you have to walk across tiles to spell the name out.
Monitor, yeah. So there you go. My brain is full of nothing but useless shit.
You and everybody here.
So let's just... Okay, I'm bringing you over to the town, this thing here. Only so we can show you. So what you guys will be heading off towards the speaker's palace, which you can see is further. You're going to have to kind of, head south, cut across, or cut near the town hall square, and then through down to speaker's palace. That is where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of our heroes are headed. But one is headed in a different direction. And that hero is heading straight up towards the North Look, wandering along, this great sword strapped to his back, limping quite heavily because of the shit kicking he had from the encounter with the Yeti. We see the camera cuts to this impressive looking what do you call it? Impressive looking inn full of all these reprobates and adventurers, scallywags, sell swords, and the door is thrown open and in walks Erlich de Melneroth. And what does he do next?
He puffed. Before he walked in, he made sure to puff up his chest really big.
Yep.
But he walks in and he says, "I have a message for the one named Slim."
So the whole place goes kind of quiet, and you can see that everyone sort of looks over to Scramsax, who's this adventurer, or this kind of rough-looking guy who's behind the bar. They all sort of look over at him. He looks at you, does an up and down, and gestures, and says towards the stairs. Third room, second floor, on your right.
All right, I limp my way up there.
Okay.
And try to, in as much as a way that looks like a swagger as possible.
Okay. So you're gonna, as you start making your way across the room, everyone goes back to their conversations again. You go racing upstairs.
All right. I knock on the door and barely listen to any sort of confirmation before I open it open.
Fantastic. There's not enough time for anyone to confirm stuff. You throw the door open, you walk inside, and what you see there is... a second, I need to check the... Where is it here? Where is it here? Yes. So you burst in and what you see is one fairly rough-looking guy and 4 other men, all of them dressed in very, like, they look like, you know, they shop at Rogues R Us. You know, they're all sort of, you know, rough-looking, clearly, you know, seedy types. The guy who is standing over there, he's got kind of a hook nose. He's the seedy looking dude in the foreground of our market picture. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
But in his hand is a bloodied short sword, and at his feet is a dead body with a slowly spreading pool of blood. They all look over at you. You've walked your way in and kind of like, oh, stop. There's enough time for there to be this pregnant pause. Give me a D10 roll. Let's see if you're surprised there. Look.
Yeah, that's something that.
Nice.
Oh God.
So.
Oh.
The guy who's holding the short sword, he just looks up at you and says one simple, or 2 simple words. Get him. And we see the 4 soldiers go racing towards you. You're like, oh shit! And we cut away.
Okay.
So we now cut to you guys making your way up towards the Speaker's Palace. You have had time to kind of prepare, you know, talk over what you want to, how you want to present this, how you want to appeal to her, and so you guys can feel free to, like, you know, do retcons and edit what you got prepared. The Speaker's Palace is a private residence located on the south side of Bryn Shander, and it's the only building in Bryn Shander that stands 2 stories tall. Fashioned by dwarves out of cut stone with a pitched roof, the pitched slate roof, and a colonnade out in front, the palace is so out of place among the squat, rough wood dwellings that it looks as if it has been magically transported here from somewhere else in Faerun. So if you guys make your way up towards this, who's going to be doing the talking here?
I feel like the most charismatic.
Score, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I'm clearly the most charismatic character.
Okay.
I think Goron will defer to Store after he's told him kind of everything that he learned from Hengar.
Okay.
Because he knows that Store is kind of our natural leader.
Oh boy.
All on you, Hobbs.
That's right.
Okay.
This is where it becomes Hobbs and friends.
And you guys can free, like, the thing is, this will set, like I said to George, that this will set the initial kind of, like, reaction and whatever. Anyone can feel free to interact with that. You're not, just because you got a shitty charisma score, don't feel like, you can feel free to roleplay that appropriately, but don't feel like you can't talk and can't interact. That's one of the ways where old school games are, you know, a little more inclusive.
I really think you guys should let me do this. I've got the highest charisma. I have an 18 charisma.
Okay, so you guys knock at the door, and you go up and you are greeted at the door by, there's 2 guards that are standing there, and they recognize, I think, you, Store, and probably you as well, Brune. And the guards are kind of like, yes, what are you?
So Store will let them know that we're the group that helped fend off the Yeti that attacked and would wish to have an audience with the speaker.
Okay, so they head inside, and the what do you call it? Ehrlich isn't dead, by the way. I mean, it's a good instinct. It's a good instinct to reroll a new character, but he's not dead, or at least we don't have confirmation of his death at this point.
Oh well, I just figured I'd get started in case.
So they hear and they're like, "Oh, yes, that's of course, yeah." Then please. So they head in. They bring you into sort of this, like, a very grand audience hall that's sort of used to meet with mucky mucks from other towns. It's to meet with the speakers of all the 10 towns. So this is probably, I'm going to guess, just looking at your character portraits, this is probably a nicer situation than many of you have found yourselves in ever. Ehrlich and Thomas may have had, as Tetherian nobility, they may have had more, you know, exposure to this stuff, but this is, you know, it has all the, imagine the level of not austerity, but the level of grandeur that could be brought to a audience chamber that has been designed and built by dwarves. So this has a lot of solemnity to it. There's, hard, harsh angles. And you guys are in there for a bit when it takes very little for the door to open, and in walks Speaker Duvessa. And this is what she looks like, guys.
Whoa, she looks young.
She is quite young. Yeah. Duvessa is the daughter of a trader from Waterdeep. This is what Brune can kind of fill you in on. Daughter from a trader in Waterdeep who settled in Bryn Shander after falling in love with a local tavern server. After having inherited her mother's sharp tongue and her father's talent for negotiations, it was unsurprising when she secured the position of town speaker after her father gave it up. The first woman to hold that position as well. So she walks in and she says, so this is the group. You I have to thank for Yeti. How did Yeti get in here? I that's a problem for another time, but Store, I hear I have you and your crew to thank for this.
Yes, fortunately we had just arrived on a caravan.
The last in, such luck. And I'm sure you've been asked this before, but did they follow you? Were you stalked? Is this what it's come to?
No, I don't believe so. We've actually just only been here a day, and since the attack, we found much information that we wish to share with you and to get your sage advice.
I'm busy, but the least I can offer the saviors of Prince Shander is some of my time. Please sit. Have you been? And she gestures to the guard to kind of like get drinks. So you'll have drinks brought in, and it's fabulous dwarven brandy that is served to each of you guys. And she says, "Please, how can I be of assistance to you and your brave men?"
Are the guards still here?
The guard, is still here. Do you want her to dismiss them?
Basically, I'll thank her for the wonderful. This brandy is certainly something that I didn't expect, and a fine drink at the end of a hard road. But perhaps our news should be only shared with you.
And she kind of looks at you, studies the group, sees the look of what I'm guessing is, solemnity on all of the faces, perhaps except for Oswald. And
I am Oswald Elderberry. I am a paladin in training.
Okay. It's silent across the table as soon as she makes eye contact with Oswald.
If that impressed her, it probably doesn't, but I don't care.
I've never encountered one of your kind.
I say that as she gives me a drink.
I've never encountered one of your kind who's taken the oaths, small one. But she gestures to the guards and says, "Please." And they close the big heavy doors behind them, leaving you guys in the council chamber, or the chamber of speakers, alone. We have our privacy store. What is it? What is it that troubles you?
Much of this hinges upon the attack of the Yeti, the Rhaegar tribesmen that you have, and those who would see him sacrificed to Alril.
The Rhaegar tribesmen? You mean the thief?
He is not a thief, I suppose.
Oh. I think we're getting... Your fan might have come on there, Dave.
No, somebody's trying to call me. I shut it off.
Oh, okay. Fuck off, I'm in the Icewind Dale.
I'm in the Icewind Dale. There's no cell phones allowed in the Icewind Dale. Come on.
Its cell service is amazing in here. Holy shit.
A burgeoning cult of Auril.
She, at the mention of her name, she falls silent. A cult of Auril? A cult of the Frost Maiden here.
Indeed, I was nearly almost inducted immediately.
What? Hold on. There's in town those who would pay service to the Frost Maiden? I know that things have grown desperate.
They fear the wrath of this winter, and hope that sacrificing the tribesmen, or as you would call the thief, is a first, only the first effort at keeping Owl off.
So I'd like to, when Store says the tribesman, Gorwin will say his name is Hengar.
Thank you. Wait. How is he being? What are you saying that the sheriff is offering him up as a sacrifice? I've known him my entire life. This is
No, the people who accused him, the woman that accused him to be a thief, put that information to the sheriff, and then just doing his job, he's going to do their work for them.
Do you have proof of her perfidy? Do you have proof of her worship? These are strong accusations, Store. You can appreciate that.
This far, only my own discussion and communication with her.
Did she provide proof of his guilt?
She said that he... It is... To be honest, I don't know what these are in the purview of the sheriff. And I trust Markham to have seen justice done. Have you spoken to the sheriff about this?
No, we hoped to speak directly to you because I hoped you would understand how tenuous your position would be if you started a war or with the Elks.
She leans back. She says, and this realization kind of hits her. She's like, he has standing with the Elk tribe.
Falcor clears his throat and says, the uncivilized savages hold one thing important above all, and that's honor. And they will not look upon this well.
Sorry, Mo, did you say something too?
I agree.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the wool merchant admitted it out of her own mouth. She confessed to being a cultist.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention that it was the wool merchant. I mean, I kind of said we know that already. But...
She even offered to have you capture us and put us up as sacrifices too. So it's not merely that she's got something against the Elk. She's just trying to cover her own backside.
I believe I have a plan.
She leans back and she says, I knew that the thief, or the accused thief at least, was of the Rhaegar tribes. I did not know he came from the Elk. But you have no proof beyond your word, Store.
No, but that's part of my plan. So I believe if we can hold off the execution of Hengar, they will contact me, and I will hopefully speak to this blessed who leads the cult. And then we can know more, and then I will have proof of the cult's existence, and also then we can release Hengar, and everything will be hinging on your decision, of course.
The thing you must appreciate is, if you have no proof, and we have the word of a citizen of Bryn Shander, a merchant at that, that will carry much more weight than, as she kind of gestures to you, an outsider.
The heroes of Bryn Shander?
I literally just typed that in the chat. Like my hands are over here.
Your help with the Yeti is... You've been away long, Store. I know that you're familiar with here, and Brune, you know how things are. This winter is different. People are afraid, not only for the fierce arrival of this early winter, but also the rumors of beasts rising up, of the tribesmen falling in. If word spreads of the Church of Auril, I expect, Brune, you know this as well, while the tribe of Elk are aligned with us, Some of the other tribes throw in with darker voices and darker gods.
I can understand that, but if you let Hengar, a member of the tribe of the Elk, who has come here for your specific aid against those that plague the Northlands, I can see it would only be worse.
The sentiment of the people are turned too much against him and his kind. If he is telling the truth, then they are under threat. Even absent the accusations of thievery, he would not find many willing to lend help to the Rhaegar at this juncture. But
There is something else we could do. You wouldn't have to release him. We could stage a rescue tonight, give us some place to keep him, and then we'll see if these cultists contact me for further assistance.
Are you proposing to bring him out of town? Bring him beyond the walls?
Yes.
Well, it's going to be, if we all leave behind the walls, it's going to be awfully hard for the cult to contact me unless we split up. But we could do that.
Well,
yes.
Maybe it would be.
Nothing bad ever happened from splitting the party. So I say we split.
Yeah, it says Erlich.
Party is already split. The party's already split, and we are.
Okay, right. Exactly. Nothing bad ever happened from that. So
could we not just stay the execution to review or something and give us a few days to try and either
rescue the guy,
prove his guilt.
Rescue him. Let's free him before he freezes to death. Rescue him. Knock out the guards. Rescue the guy.
We're not saying this in front of the speaker, are we?
And here it is. Those of us that are super stealthy, do it in a way that they don't know who did it. We at least free the guy. Okay, all we have to do is tied by rope. We give him a chain.
Are you saying this in front of her?
She's just.
You guys are in the meeting right now, so.
I didn't know I was saying this in front of her.
You guys aren't telepathic, so you can't. You're stuck in this scene right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I already said it. So yeah. Then I.
No. You could have discussed this beforehand. This conversation could have happened beforehand. Arlen, you look like you want to say something.
No, Gorwin is not on board with this plan.
Oh, yeah.
And if we go through,
actually thinks my idea is terrible.
Gorwin, if we're discussing this on the way, he says, if need be, I'll speak to the speaker alone, but I won't be part to that kind of chaos.
Who was it who said that they were interested in history? Was that Store?
Yes.
Store has. I have ancient Elven history.
So, well, Elven history is not going to help you in this case.
Yeah.
Did you know that the Drow ones? Shut up, Gorwin.
You have to pick
I don't want to hear it again.
A thing with ancient history, so I thought Elven history was appropriate.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
I figured that's not.
Yeah.
Mine says ancient history, and I have no idea what it is.
Here's something. Here's something you do know. So, because you purposely brought it up. So these types of communities. Given the limited resources here, given that they're not very big, again, like this is sort of like you can picture boom towns like Deadwood, or like some of the towns in California during the gold rush. Like these are places with, people have very specific interests for being here. They're not interested in having prisons or shit like that. So there are ways that the types of sentences you can carry out are fairly limited. Execution is, of course, one of those. Another one of those is exile.
I am Oswald Elderberry. I am a paladin in training. We can make this look like I at least escaped. Okay?
So I'll offer up
one person here is a super good thief. One person here is able to sneak up there and at least make it look like this guy escaped on his own. So
see what our options.
So first, a mechanical thing. There's stealth in this. We've talked about it in the other game of Fairbright George, but it's not like magical, right? The thieves can move silently, but they're not invisible when they're moving silently.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. But
Well,
still,
and
it's a game.
Lex wants to throw in that it's not just about this man. I want to do the right thing and protect him if we can, but you have to understand that there's a bigger piece at stake here. There's a cult that's in hiding that we need to root out. There's the Winter Witch who we need to understand more about, and what's driving the Yeti. You know, assuming it's the witch.
And
So
I understand.
we
I will go
can't hurt
along
our-
with I will go along with the group. I am lawful good, and thus I am trying to help the downtrodden. So, but I will go along with the greater will of the group.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, whatever course of action we take, we also need to consider the big picture.
Agreed.
So basically, the speaker is saying that if we were to take him outside, take Horvald, is that his name?
Well, that's what. Okay, so Kev told
Hangar.
Kev told Hobbs that Store knows that this is another alternative. The speaker's not suggesting this. She's in a bit of a mind, you know.
Right.
She's
so, and she doesn't seem really interested in my plan unless we were taking him out of the place. So
there's probably a reason for that. I think what Brune, you might be able to add in as well. So like if word gets out, in particular, if word gets out that there is a cult of Auril present, you can imagine the paranoia that would fucking burn through this town. The heart of the winter has settled in. It's very difficult to travel during that period, which means that however many thousand live in Bryn Shander, or it's 1,200. 1,200 people are stuck within the walls, largely of Bryn Shander, for the duration. And if they think that there's a cult of Auril active there as well, and what the guards seem to think is that this barbarian is the one. Like, it's weird that they immediately associated that he's the one who brought it down on us. It's the Rhaegar who have brought us down. What do you think that the local sentiment would, and local level of unrest would be if they just, didn't execute this guy?
Right. No, yeah, I understand. That's why I offered the one plan of free.
Just to understand why she's reluctant. I think Brune can tell you that, like, things are pretty fucking tense here right now. It doesn't mean there's a riot that's going to happen tomorrow. It does mean that things might be a little more difficult. I think she would be willing to give a day. If you want to stay execution for a day, she will do that, unless you can propose, but unless you can come up with some way.
We want that.
Yeah, if you can't come up with some way of exonerating him altogether, and
give us a day.
Did Thomas
exonerate him?
Did Thomas actually say the name of or mention it's a wool merchant?
Well,
no, I think the cultist admitted it out of her own mouth.
I'm asking whether Thomas said that in the meeting with Speaker.
I didn't say the name, I don't think. So
okay, so she knows that it's a wool merchant. Okay, so she's got that. She's no dummy, so she's going to start. Yeah, she might be interested in this.
There might be not many wool merchants.
Well, also she.
Hey, Kevin, are you saying a wall merchant?
Wool.
Wool. Oh, okay.
As in,
I didn't know if you were saying I didn't know if that's a Walmart reference.
No.
Okay.
No. I don't put puns and shit in my games. So, so that, absent anything else, she's willing to give you 1 day. She will have him held in the town hall for 1 day, but that's sort of that.
Okay, I think we can come up with the real answer here if we have a day.
She's also
enough information to exonerate him.
Yeah, so you guys have a date to kind of pass, where you may be able to you may be able to come up with something to.
When I was in prison, I took criminal justice when I was in prison, so.
Is that Oswald?
Good to know.
All right.
Speaking of SSA, wait, you were in prison?
Yeah.
You're a criminal?
Oh yeah, I was in prison. Yeah. I mean, I'm straight now. I don't do that stuff I used to do anymore. I'm totally straight now. But that was back in my youth.
She sort of.
But I am now a paladin in training.
Okay. So then she says, well, the Icewind Dale, there's many who find a new life up in the Dale. You'll be one of many who will be leaving a different thing, something behind you, and finding a new life here. So, Store, as a small thank you, I have dispersed some funds to the for one, disperse some funds for you as a way of saying thank you, or the gratitude of Red Shander. And I have the House of the Morning Lord has also offered something which we have subsidized as well. If you speak to, do you know Priestess Mithran? Oh, you're muted, Hobbs.
That's the one that healed us, wasn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Recently.
Then she, I have asked, she has dispersed something that we think will be a way of saying, expressing the town's gratitude. And she, well, when the doors open, if you guys are finished your meeting with her, she'll, kind of rap on the table with this gavel thing that she's got, like a big, wooden kind of sphere. Bang, bang on the thing. The doors open. Guards bring in a little lockbox. And the lockbox contains enough. There's 10 of you in total. It contains 250 gold pieces. Nice. So you each get 25 gold. Although Erlich, they may have to hold it for you.
Yeah. The store will say, well, it shouldn't all be solemnity with such a good gift as yours. Perhaps another drink and a toast.
She laughs and says, of course, though, and she gestures to Brune, perhaps this will be the last one tonight? No? Because Brune, did you see you're a rummy? You're...
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
He wants... Yeah.
So yeah, the guard is pouring the brandy, and as he's moving his hand away, you put it down so it fills it right up to the brim. And then...
Absolutely.
So everyone has their dwarven drinks. Is there anything else you guys want to ask of or discuss with Speaker Devessa?
So I was going to suggest someone could ask who Slim is, because we don't know if he's like a guard or an ex-guard or an adventurer or a gangster or something. Mm-hmm. And she would probably know. I was also thinking I might kind of I wanted to show her the amulet and tell her that that Hengar asked us to bring it to his people if we cannot save his life, and that basically as a way of showing kind of investment in the
okay
the thing.
And if she looks at this, so if you guys don't suggest exile to her, I think this might push her over to the point of suggesting that as a potential resolution. Sending him on his own into this weather, knowing there are Yeti lurking outside, may be as sure a death sentence as leaving him for the elements. But if he were not to travel alone, perhaps the sentiment of the town is not with supporting the Rhaegar tribes. There are other matters, and I have enough trouble right now with in several in I believe less than a week. She will know. I can't remember offhand. There will be a new speaker elected as well, and Valish Gant, you may not know him. Gant has only been here a month, but he is making fast friends of many and it's said that he may challenge me for the speakership. The position I find myself is in one where I cannot go against popular sentiment, so I hope you appreciate the respect that this shows to you, Store, to be willing to entertain a sentence, commuting or postponing the sentence, and commuting the sentence passed by the sheriff in favor of exile.
Most certainly, and we greatly appreciate it. Is this Gant a merchant in town? does he employ the new roughs who seem to lurk about the marketplace?
The new roughs, you say? I know there's been many people coming in.
We've heard talk of protection for some of the merchants in town, and it did seem like there was a different feeling in the marketplace than last I was here.
That may be... Gant came... One second here. Yep. Gant arrived from Waterdeep. And at first he sought an audience with me and any who come with the free coin that he brings with him. I'm eager. Our Bryn Shander is first and foremost a trade post, and our merchants are always welcome here. Little did I know that his honey-dripped words were poured into every notable person in the community as well. And he now seems that there will be a strong push, or so my agents tell me, for him to take my speakership. Already there's been more grousing amongst the local merchants than I would have thought merited by the circumstance. The circumstances are rough on any, but for him to push for this, these are difficult and uncertain times, and perhaps they may be willing to throw in with a new voice.
They don't call Gant by another name, do they?
Valish Gant is how he was introduced to me, and I have no reason to think of that. My father came from Waterdeep. This is, as with your friend Oswald, there are many who find new lives up here. It appears that Mr. Gant may wish to land a influential role when he finds himself putting roots down here. I should be no surprise. My father did the same thing.
Interesting.
But the new faces, there are many.
You can always count on us if you need anything.
I appreciate that, Story, and of course, the work that you've done for the community. On a strictly mercenary basis, I appreciate you coming to see me. You are well thought of, and the light shines favorably on you in light of your actions and those of your comrades. I appreciate sharing some of that light.
Well, all right. As it looks like Bruin tries to get another glass of brandy, Sor will say, well, perhaps it is time.
Yeah, and it's probably a guard you know from growing up too, Bruin, and they're just like, come on!
Yeah. They probably know well enough to not feed me too much alcohol, too.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you guys wish to bring up?
I think Gorman wanted to ask her if she knew who Slim was.
I am not going to ask it myself, but I was putting it out as a suggestion to the party if anybody wants to think about that.
In that case, I'll do it. There's one of the Yeti smashed up an apothecary's shop, and apparently his guard went AWOL, and apparently this is a Mr. Slim, and we've been asked to...
Store, this is the first time you've heard this. Your head kind of snaps, you're like, wait, Slim?
Pickens?
You knew a guy back in Luskin who went by the name Slim. And the way that the politics are organized in Luskin at this point, it's a city basically built by pirates. And it's, for most of its history, it's served as a bully in the community. It will raid and attack communities that are less powerful than it, and its politics are organized into different ships. It's no different than like gang names or maybe loose political associations, but given their eagerness to use violence and extortion, a gang is probably a closer understanding of what the ships are. But you used to know a guy in Luskan, or at least you knew the reputation of a guy who ran with Ship Rethnor out of Luskan.
What was his reputation?
A general thug for hire with Ship Rethnor, murderer, and there's some other had strange rumors about him too, that there was something unnatural, whether that was something he could do or whether something he was capable of, capable of doing with his powers or whatever. Hey, honey. Anna Banana just came in to say hi to everybody. Hi, sweetie.
Nice.
Not nice. She's biting my hand. Ow, ow. Hi, sweetie. Yeah, so you definitely have... the name rings a bell for you, but she says, Devessa says she's not familiar with the name. It's not a name known to her. It's not a merchant she's met. It's not someone she's familiar with.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. All right. Oh, this is a great conversation, but I got to yawn out now.
Yeah. Boring conversation anyway. Luke, we're gonna have company. So what? What else? Or do you have anything else you wish to ask her about?
I'm good. Y'all good?
Okay. Whoop.
Yeah, I think we've gotten what we need, which is some time.
Okay.
If there is
Appreciate it.
truly a cult operating in your town, is there anything that you would want to do or to empower to individuals to make rid of such things?
What you've told me is, to be frank, that one merchant has told one person that they worship this. They worship the Frost Maiden. Without proof and given the sentiment, I'm not about to have people running around on a snipe hunt for something that may or may not extend beyond one. What did she say? You said that she wanted to meet up with someone. Did she have any word on who that might be?
Davrick Fane.
Fane. I know a merchant out of Brendan of that name, but I haven't seen him, or at least have not met with him in months.
What did he sell? Do you recall?
I don't recall. To be honest, like this is Kev. I can't remember offhand. I'll have to look it up, and I see we're pushing up against the quit time right now. So maybe what I'll do is I'll look up that info and put that on Discord for what it is. If it is,
well, we wouldn't wish to further any sort of panic or strike. But if it was discreet enough to learn a few more things, would you want to know? Is this something that interests you enough?
Of course, if there is, it's unthinkable that a cult to her may develop in such times, and we will not want that to spread. If we can't have our people turning on each other at the start of what looks to be a long and hard winter, and if I am to lose speakership, I will see this. It would do us all well to see this done before a stranger assumes the voice of not only Bryn Shander but the 10 towns themselves. Then I thank you again, and she gestures to the crate of coins, or the box of coins. Says, "We hope that this shows a small token of the appreciation the town has for your efforts. Should you prove of further value and further assistance to the town, we can offer further. Sorry for the bang, and she's chasing her tail underneath the desk. Better that than bite my hand. So then
she's ready. She knows the end is coming.
I know the internal clock for when it's time to go for a stroll is uncanny with this one. So then, I think what we'll do then, guys, is we will bring our session to a close with you guys leaving the council chamber. You step outside of the Speaker's Palace, that enormous 2-story stone structure standing there. All of you looking at each other and saying, wait, wasn't Ehrlich with us a minute ago?
Wasn't Ehrlich alive a minute ago?
Yeah.
Not barely, but
so guys, let's see here. I don't think anyone used any skills for this session. We do have 10 points of Astonishing Fortune left by virtue of no one's. Is it 10? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nine.
No, 9. 9 points of Astonishing Fortune, as well as some really terrific role playing. So what we'll do, guys, is you guys will gain 150 XP each for the session. You also will gain, if you have prime requisite bonuses, make sure to add that. Plus 10% if your prime requisite is 16 or higher. Okay, sweetie. Okay, where's your toy? Where's your toy? Go get your toy. Get it. Yeah. Thank God that still works. Yeah, and then what we'll do is we'll pick this up on next Saturday. So next weekend, it's Saturday, Sundays when we play again, too. This was really fucking smooth. When we started, I was wondering whether, 9-person party would work, but this went really well today, guys. And that's a big testament to you guys working, understanding it's a team sport and everything. So fucking great job by all the players.
Great, you handled it well too.
Thank you. What do you call it? For those listening at home, unfortunately my laptop's fucking around right now, so I can't see what's in chat, but for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for Chapter 2 of the Legacy of the Crystal Shard adventure. As always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, if you want to shower further praise on our stalwart legion of players, please feel free to do so. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the comment section of this video, and I will endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. In addition, you can reach me on Twitter at Dungeon Musings, and you can reach me by email. My email address is dungeonmusings@gmail.com. You can also find a link in the description of this video to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where we will be continuing to chat about this campaign, and I'll be posting some further information. I also do session summaries as well, too, of what happened. So if you want to get caught up in it, you can get caught up in the campaign there as well for what you missed in the first session. In addition, there is a link in the description of this video to something called Heroes Save Villages. That's the charity fundraising campaign that we run on the channel. The charity, any donations that go there go directly to SOS Children's Villages International, a really amazing organization active in over 130 countries that benefits over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children. But at this time, at the time of recording at least, this catches us in the middle of the COVID crisis across the planet. So I can appreciate that a lot of folks may be in uncertain economic circumstances right now. So I don't want anybody to feel obliged to donate. If you are inclined to make any donations, my suggestion has been to go to crooked.com, for Americans at least, where the guys at Crooked Media have set up a really great... One second here. She really wants to go. A really great kind of clearinghouse for donations that go to everywhere in the States to assist with different frontline responders who are dealing with the pandemic crisis. And it really says a lot about Crooked Media is whatever your political leanings are, they are a fairly left-leaning thing, but it says a lot that Ben Shapiro retweeted their thing as well, too. So it's people from across the political spectrum who are supporting this. So just because they are a left-leaning organization, don't take that the charities are necessarily that way either. If you're coming from another country, like Canada or elsewhere in the world, there are other organizations that are benefiting the people fighting this crisis on the front lines, and that I would recommend that if you are in a position to make donations and you are inclined to do so, that would be a way to support your, the folks who are facing this crisis head on. If this does find you at another time, though, please feel free to click through and learn all about Heroes Save Villages and the rewards we have on offer there. But again, I want people to feel that they are secure themselves before they consider making any other donations. Last but not least, I got to thank a whole fucking cadre of players here. So, Mo, Jeff, John, George, Arlen, George, Dave, Brandon, and Hobbs. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. This was a really fucking fun session.
That's great adventure.
Awesome. So then, until next time.
9 players is called the Fellowship.
Yes! It's like a Parliament of Owls. It's a fellowship of gamers.
No kidding.
That is terrific. Yeah, and fucking great role-playing by everybody, too, and great sharing the space and whatever. That was really great job, guys. So then, for those listening at home, once again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope this finds you healthy, safe, and weathering the current crisis well, all things considered. Until we see you again, thanks again for watching, and happy gaming.